Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Hi, hi. I am currently in the call right now, but I think everyone else is setting up their streams. So, hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Killjoy, welcome in. Congrats on the first. Hamoud. Wait, no, you didn't get first. Hamoudi got first. Congrats on the first. Welcome in, Killjoy. Welcome in, Vivi. Welcome in, Weighty Words. Welcome in, Brando, and welcome in, Blank. Hello, everyone. Have fun with Repo. I bought the game and downloaded it literally an hour before this stream, so I don't know what to expect. I've only ever seen like a few clips. So we're going in this blind. It's so good. Well, I'm also meeting some of these people for the first time, so overall I'm gonna do my best, guys. I'm a little scared, just a little. Don't doubt your first thing. Sorry. Also, I know you guys wanted, this is God, this is kind of warm today. Remember when we said that we would reach the 50 subs and we're doing the spooky game? This is the spooky game for that. Just letting you guys know. Telling you right now. Ugh, this is the spooky game. Did I plug this in? This is plugged in? It is. Okay. Perfect. It's time for Bubba Screams. How bad can it be? Haha. How? It's just not gonna plug in? Oh my god. Sorry, my thing unplugged and I need it to plug in properly. There we go. Is that good? Okay, there we go. The game is super easy for you, a pro gamer. I don't even know which game is Repo. Monster Hunter Wild took me last month. Dude, same. I was literally playing Monster Hunter. I only had an hour and I was playing a little bit, just a tiny bit. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a time. I think everyone's still deafened, so we're good for a tiny bit. For some reason, Lynn won't show up. I don't know why her Fugi is not showing up, but it won't show up for me. Weirdly. So it is what it is. Guess what? Chicken butt. But this is the spooky game. Should I open the game now? Because apparently there's like, I don't know if I should. You're so close to getting the fishing award. I haven't tried to fish in Monster Hunter yet. I don't know what that's going to entail, but we'll see. I'm going to open up the game right now, actually. We get it set up. Funny how Lynn is invisible. She said the same thing, by the way. She was like, I took the invisible woman gaming a little too seriously, which is pretty funny. Here we go. Let's get the game up and running first and foremost. I might move these guys down here. I don't know what the game is going to be set up like, but I might move them. Where do we think? Like in the middle? Where do we? That's loud. Wow. I'm gonna need you to calm down with that. Jeez. Jeez, that's loud. SpongeBob type shit. It is. Like, oh my god. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, that was a little too loud for me. Is this good? Is this volume good? Super excited for Repo. I saw it getting famous on YouTube lately, but haven't had a chance to check it out. Well, here's your chance to check it out. You chewing your bone back there. Okay, guys, let me know if that volume is good. I'm gonna be listening to this for a little bit. Oh, also microphone. That's the right mic. Push to talk off. I wonder if I should turn push to talk. Push to talk off is kind of text to speech volume, proximity voice volume. Okay. Repo? Yeah, we're playing Repo today. I don't know what to expect. I'm gonna put their Fugis here for now, but I don't know when we're undeafening. Bia should be joining as well. Bia's gonna join. Yippee! I was debating on wearing like a spooky outfit today. Do you guys think we should wear a spooky outfit today? Would it be cuter with one? I do have extra blankies if we did want one. We do have other blankies. Let me see, let me see, let me see. Halloween. We have pumpkin. We have a skeleton. We have candy corn. We have a bat. The bat's kind of cute. What does a bat look like? Oh, that's big. The bat's kind of cute. Oh, there's that bat. Very cute. Gotta go Halloween from Christmas. Yeah, I'm not Christmas. I don't know what you're talking about. In-game mic better for this game, like Phasma? Yeah, I've heard that proximity chat is really good. I don't know if I like this, actually. I don't know. I don't know if I like this. We'll keep it off for now. But yeah, just let me know if the volume is good for you guys or if you want it turned up. Thank you for the lurk, Captain Quack. Thank you, thank you. But before we start, oh my god, because you guys know it's going to be a collab, which means it's probably going to be quite chaotic, which means I won't be able to look at chat as much. Let me know how your week has been, because it's Friday, guys, which for most of you means that you're done for the week. Is there a way to make your bottle black and white? Oh, there is a way? There is a way. Let me see. I haven't done this in a while. Hold on, I can't see myself here. It's not changing anything right now. On. Oh, it's because it's not activated. Duh. I gotta activate it. Here we go. Let's see. You said... No, let's not do that. Saturation? Like this? You want black and white like this? You got promoted to private first class. Yippee! Congratulations! Yippee! Hold on, hold on. Wait. Wait. Let me cook a little more. Let me cook. What if we do that? And then we do... Oh, that's a little too intense though, isn't it? The blue look kind of good too. What about this? Well, I mean, the game itself is not really black and white vibes though, is it? I don't know if this is gonna trigger some people's... I don't know. It's a little too flashy, maybe? Maybe just a little bit? I don't... What do we think about that? I now have to get new ranks sewn on before you leave for Pascha. Well, you got this. I believe in you. What was I doing? What was I using? Or we could do... Did I accidentally turn it off? I did. Why is it so... Why is it this color? I think we wanted it to be like this. Because that's too flashy, isn't it? You like the flashy? You don't think it's gonna bother people too much? For the first time in a while, my schedule cooked my sleep schedule, and I hate it so much. I'm so sorry. My model will be smaller. This is true. Let's see how it looks. Let's keep this on for a second. And then let's do this. What do we think about that? What do we think about that? This just a tiny bit. This is bothering me that I'm not there. There we go. It looks good, but I think it's really eye-catching, which will bother some. I think so too. I think the flashiness could bother some people. Which is unfortunate. I think... We also have... The frick is this? I like goofing off with stuff. What is this? Oh! That's crazy. You guys should not let me mess with this. Eat it! No! Horse. Allergy. Oh God, my eyes. Ooh. No, I don't know. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if we should have discovered this. To be honest, guys, you shouldn't have let me. You shouldn't have let me look at the. You shouldn't have let me mess with this. But everyone's waiting for me. Okay, you guys, cancel. Cancel. Everyone's waiting for me. Oopsies.
Okay, I
Crazy.
think I need to set this rule, but no eating my friends.
Okay, hi, I'm here.
Hi, bye.
No non-consensual eating.
Wow, that's the
Yeah.
first thing I. Okay.
Yeah,
My bad.
I mean, it is applicable to you, Bubba, because you are a berry.
Sorry.
So let's make sure we set that boundary. No eating each other.
Yes, no, thank you. Please and thank you.
And no chat eating my friends. That's, yeah.
No chat eating.
I almost made a really dirty joke, but I'm gonna not because I'm a mature
Honestly,
adult.
Oh my God.
No, go ahead.
Where's Bio? Where's Bio playing
No,
from?
go ahead.
I know, right?
Bio, where are you
Okay, there
playing
we go.
from?
Huh?
Invite guests.
Where are you playing
Okay.
from?
What do you mean?
Your mic just sounds funny.
Their PlayStation, I think.
Does it?
PlayStation?
No, I'm on my normal setup.
Is it your webcam mic? I'm confused.
Oh. You did say.
It shouldn't be. I don't think the mic that I have has a webcam that I have has a mic.
I was saying, I'm missing
That's your chat. Yeah, we want to have a streamer read our messages again. I read those messages. Hello? Sorry.
Oh my God! It's using my headset mic. Why?
I was gonna say, Bio's mic sounds funny.
Yeah.
Not like you were.
I had audio issues at the start of stream for like 30 fucking minutes
Oh
because
my
I
God.
updated my wavelength and it like undid all of my sources. So I was like losing my mind. Okay. Let's see.
Okay, there we go. How about that? Is that
Yeah,
better?
yippee! My ears.
Thank you for telling
My
me, Bubba.
ear
I love you
You're
unconditionally.
welcome.
Thank you.
I always do my best.
Thank you. Oh my God!
There we
Did that mean that I
that's like-
streamed
that's
the
like
whole time
1,000
with my
times
fucking
better.
headset mic and no one?
No,
told me
I
that
was in
I-
your stream. You're fine. You're fine in
Okay,
stream.
thank you.
Yeah.
You love a little
Mention
bit of
again.
fail,
Like,
Mike.
please.
I
We wouldn't let it
really
happen again.
fully expected to just go look at my VOD and be like, oh wow, cool, headset mic, pog. Wonderful. Why would I ever ask for?
1 sec. Brando, before I start, would you be able to write a message saying that I won't be able to look at chat quite as much? Please and thanks.
Really good, except for the fact that it eats my GPU for breakfast.
Towers of what now?
What is that? Wait,
Sorry,
what
how
is
do you
that?
say it?
Towers of Agasba.
A Gasma? Okay.
Was I hearing it too?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I had to make sure I heard it right.
It's not Towers of Orgasm. Get it out of here.
It reminds me of
Leave
Link
it
Marshmallow.
Hello?
Towers of a Gaspa.
That's crazy. I was gonna say let's have everyone introduce themselves, and this is what I'm hearing. When
I found a sparkly magical shit and a singular lump of flesh with a giant eyeball in it today. The vibes are crazy.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, I saw that.
Good
part.
job.
That
I'm
was
proud of
disturbing.
you.
Yeah.
The magical shit really had me rolling though.
Is anybody else having trouble with the chat thing? Because I know Delia got it, but I don't know if it's.
Don't we have to invite each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, I invited everybody.
Yeah, we gotta knock on each
Oh.
other.
How do I
And
do?
then
Oh,
you
are
have
you
to-
guys still setting up stream, not the game?
Hold on, hold on. I'm gonna attempt to set this up.
Bubba wasn't there for about. Oh.
I'm
There we
here. Am I here now?
Yeah. There you go.
Yippee!
Wait.
Start
hold
sharing
on.
chat. Yes, please.
Because I'm not streaming, but I'm joining it because I can like notify people.
Oh,
Oh,
I
thank you,
see.
Hamudi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not that son. Oh, I need one
Wait,
of those.
hold on.
All right, guys, say
that's a
hi
good
to other
idea.
chats. Say hello. Be nice.
Hi.
Wait, someone add me.
I'm trying. Send an invite. I can't drag you in though, unfortunately.
You have to make sure that
Yeah.
you like have your Twitch open and then click the accept button from the little box or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I have mine open right now. I'm like waiting for it.
Okay. Can I send it again? Oh, aha! Hold on. It's me. I'm the moron. It's fine.
I'm the problem, it's me.
Me.
Yep.
Oh, hi.
In that kind of week.
Hey,
It's
it
me.
happens.
Oh, it's because you weren't a favorite. I'm so sorry.
There
There you
we
go. It's because
go.
I never
Oh
do this.
my god,
Wow.
that's crazy.
Lower
To
tier
be fair,
friend
there's
is
also
wild.
something else I need to rectify in my chat because I was like, wait, why isn't
Imagine
Jillian Jammy
not-
weird baby?
Wait, hold on. I need that.
I'm not on top of things. I thought this was very clear from every time I'm ever on here.
You're doing great.
Okay, guys in my chat, I'm gonna do this where basically the lighting will change depending on where I'm at. See, so I think this is gonna be a lot more. Do you like this? Yeah. So at anytime the lighting changes or where I'm at is basically you can notice that the lighting is changing a little bit. I think that's a little better, right? I think that's better. Anyways.
Also, Cornbread, feel free to block a small Yumi. They're the ones who are looking to take a bite out of you.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Noted.
Yeah.
No, my snacks.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. We have shared chat on. Everyone, be
There we
nice.
go.
We can see you.
or
We can
fight. I
see
can't-
you guys.
Nice.
We can all see you.
No talking shit in each
I'll
other's
fight.
chat.
I don't.
Like,
I'm just
wow, I really hate that Lynn person you're streaming with. That's just crazy. And then it's just right in Lynn's chat. Like, I see you, man. You can't
I get
hide
that a
from
lot.
me.
I feel like I need to
Exposed.
turn my in-game mic volume probably down. I'm usually loud.
I might have to put blankies up in my office now. I hate that.
Okay, okay. All right, nice.
Why, you have bright windows or echo?
Echo.
Yeah,
I sound
can
like I'm in an
hear it.
empty room, and then I'm like, oh, it's because I am.
I just have like soundproofing foam on my walls.
Yeah, that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I
Or like,
need to
or
I need
egg
to
cartons.
invest in those.
You know,
I don't
Biel's
see
not
Biel in the sharing
streaming.
chat.
Yeah, she's
That
not
is
streaming.
because Biel is not streaming.
Yeah. I just got done with stream.
Biel's done. Biel's off the hook.
She's chilling.
I'm just vibing.
By the way, other
other
chats, Brett
chats,
ignores
Brett
us all the
ignores us
time.
all
He
the-
bullies us.
I just
That
want to
is
call him out.
not true. That is not true.
Well, okay, I have a question because I've been in a couple of your streams where you collab with other people. Why is that always the thing? Like, it's almost like the kids are let out of the basement for a little bit and they run screaming for help every single time. I'm just saying, it's really consistent that how much. Is it true, Cornbread?
No.
Is it
These
true?
allegations are all false.
Oh my god, what's crazy is
Don't,
before.
don't believe the propaganda, okay?
No, because as soon as Cornbread joined the voice call, I said, hey, and he deafened. And I said,
Oh my
Can
god.
confirm
Sounds like
was
bullying
there.
That's
to me.
crazy.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I said, never mind.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Prosila. Is it Procula or Prosila? Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. Hello. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Repo-licious. I'm a strawberry. We just do Procy. Okay. Procy. Okay. Welcome in. Hello. We just started. So we're still setting up, but welcome in everyone. I do not know nothing about Repo, so you guys get to watch me fumble and probably die many times. I had it right. Thank you. What were you guys streaming? I hope you had a lot of fun. I do apologize in advance. I might not be as active with chat just because it's a collab. But I really appreciate the raid. Thank you. Welcome in, everyone. You're also just on Repo. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm scared. Yeah. But welcome in. Thank you again for the raid. If you do need to get some rest, get some food, get some water, it's good to do that after what did I just say? After stream care is very important. Oh my god, I'm gonna undeafen now. It's very silly. I don't believe you, but alright.
Don't
Come
worry
on,
about
do
it.
it.
Don't worry
go
about
ahead.
it.
Go
No,
ahead.
I'm good.
Go,
Thank
go
you
ahead.
again.
We listen, but we don't judge.
No, I'm gonna choose peace.
Do we? Okay, guys. Do we want to introduce each other before we start?
Yes, that's to be good.
I gotta go teacher mode to get us all focused.
Someone has to do
I did a
it.
quick one to my
God.
chat one-on-one, but people
Yeah.
Can you tell I don't do this?
Teeny tiny Inu. That's such a cute name. Welcome
Cornbread,
in.
you wanna
Thank you for the
start since
follow.
you're furthest to left on my screen.
Oh yeah. I guess I can.
Mhm.
Hi everyone. My name is Average Cornbread. I also go by Cornbread or Bread. I play a lot. I play almost all the gacha games. I play all the Hoyo games loosely, and also Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves is probably my favorite one right now, but yeah, I also play like a bunch of other variety games, mostly games that like cause me pain. So like anything like Dark Souls related, I'm like always playing that.
Have you been playing some Monster Hunter?
Yes, I've been
Let's
spamming
go.
Monster Hunter a lot.
Let's
lately.
go.
It's so addicting.
I was playing it right before stream, and I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta get off. We have a collab coming up."
Everybody's streaming Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Getting all
Monster
the
Hunter and
FOMO.
Repo are like super hot right now.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is BL.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Biel. I'm a rat VTuber, and I stream stuff.
You mean Genshin?
Sometimes, sort of. Not anymore.
She's changing it up now.
Yeah, sort of.
Oh my god, you're free.
Embracing the variety.
You're free is so
You're
funny.
free.
It's free.
Oh my god.
Well, nice to meet you,
Bubba,
BL.
that's
Oh,
you.
I'm next. Oh, on my screen it's not me, but okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Repo-licious. I'm a strawberry VTuber, just doing my very best. I also stream gacha occasionally, although lately my hyperfixations have been Marvel Rivals and Monster Hunter. But I play a lot. I play a lot of variety, so yeah. Hello.
Hi.
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 Hi, Baba.
Hi, I'm Jammy Jam KK. I'm a VTuber most of the time, but I also do cosplay streams.
Ooh.
And I play lots of gachas. I play lots of Nintendo games and lots of variety as well. I also do art. Lots of art.
That's so cool. Wait, what kind of cosplays do you do?
We love art.
Oh, mostly video game cosplays. I actually was in the TwitchCon cosplay contest a couple of years ago, where I
That's so
cosplayed
cool.
Iron Mouse, and I was a
Go.
finalist.
Let's go.
I got to go to TwitchCon for free.
That's so
Wait, that's
cool.
That is
Yeah.
so cool.
That's such a win. Holy shit.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, what's your favorite cosplay you've done?
Mhm.
Oh, actually, it is Monster Hunter, which is kind of funny. I did Cove Teroth, which was like the gold scaly armor.
Mm.
Oh my
It
god.
was I
That's so
did
sick.
real gold
That's so
scale
cool.
mail, and it took years. Well, not
Oh my
actually
God.
years, but it took a long time.
Years?
Oh my god.
Jeez.
It
That's
took too
insane.
long because it was like you had to hook all the little chain mails together. Oh,
That's
took
super
too long.
cool. Wow.
yeah.
I want to cosplay
Nice to
one
meet
day,
everybody.
but I'm too
Yeah,
scared to.
cosplay.
I'm too
Do
scared.
it. Do it.
Maybe one day.
One day.
And then.
Dahlia, you're up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how I'm gonna follow that up. But I'm X-Pally Stallion. The X is silent. I am an ADHD variety streamer. I stream a lot of stuff. I play a lot of stuff. I'm an Elden Lord. That's fun.
Oh my goodness.
I played Elden Ring.
Yippee!
Yeah, I play a lot of stuff.
Could've
And
been
I'm
me.
loud. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing great. You're great.
That's all I have. I'm happy to be here.
Nice to meet you. Well, I met you
Let's
before,
go.
but. And
Hopefully
last but
less
not
stressful.
least is Lynn, right?
Hi. Yeah, for all the share chat. Hello, I'm Lynn. I'm a honestly variety gacha VTuber most of the time. I have been on a bit of a Field of Mystery bender lately though, and I'm sure chat's probably sick of it, but I've done about 2 weeks solid of that game because they gave us a dragon that we can romance. So sorry, not sorry.
Hey yo.
I look, okay. I gotta do what I gotta do. But yeah, that's
Good
what
game.
I wish I could say I have like extra hobbies outside of streaming, but I genuinely don't. I do this and I work. So this is the fun. This is the joy.
Yeah. Just fun.
This and also yeah, and I kind of when it comes to like outside of my own stuff, I organize events for other streamers and I kind of flex my little production muscles. That's what I do. Yeah.
So
And
fun.
today we're gonna get terrified because I'm gonna be honest. I don't know about anybody else, but I owed a horror game or at least something similar to my chat since October.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
forgot, and I hoped they forgot. They did not. So I'm like, well, when Bubba brought it up, I was like, you know what? That would be a good way for me to cross that off the list.
Yeah,
never
originally
think about it
Lynn and
again.
I were like, wait, we both need to like fulfill our horror game, what do you call it? Duties?
Yeah.
So we should do it together. And then we ended up, Repo looks kind of fun. And yeah, turned into this. So.
I mean, we
I'm
can
so
die, so I mean,
excited.
that's gotta count for something, right?
Yep.
Surely. Okay, I might need some help setting this up because I have not, but I know Cornbread and Dahlia,
I just need
y'all
to
have
fix my
played.
end.
Which is so funny to me because I don't like scary games. It's
I've
fun
heard
when
this
you play
one
with your
isn't that
friends.
bad. Yeah, that's, I can't do what? Scary games either.
You okay there, Bob? Oh my
No,
God.
I'm never okay. I can't do scary games like ever, so this one seemed not so bad. I stutter a lot. Maybe I should have put that in my intro. I stutter a lot, guys. Don't worry about it.
It's okay, we don't judge.
Yeah. No.
We stutter and we don't judge.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
don't judge.
We don't judge.
Cornbread, let me take a nibble. I'm sorry, Yumi.
No nibbling. No
I'm
nibbling here.
not-
The fixation.
No nibbling.
What about me?
Just a little.
Can
No
I
The
nibble?
nibbles.
friend with the best computer and internet should. Oh, I've got Starlink. That is not me.
Oh.
Not
It ain't
I.
me, I can tell you that much. Me and my little T-Mobile hotspot box will sit all the way over here.
I'm still so impressed by that. You don't even know.
I'll try it.
Really
I'll do it.
energetic people operations. That's what it stands for. Yes, yes, yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So is
Dahlia, I don't know
Dahlia?
whose internet is always
Bless
down.
you.
What are you talking about?
No.
What are you
Hey.
talking about, Curly?
Hey.
Hello?
Oh, I think we need. Are we not?
You have to be friends on Steam, probably.
Yeah.
Oh
Really?
yeah, we gotta.
Oh,
Oh
I'm friends
yeah.
with.
We're professional
Not
streamers,
friends.
guys. We are so good at this.
Surely.
Invite.
No. We totally had this set up before.
Is Miss Place not streaming?
yeah,
She just
fine.
finished streaming, so she is chilling right now, but she's still playing with us.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sure
invited me to
is.
play. Oh, shit. Sorry. Hold on. I gotta friend people.
Hold on, I
Or
gotta
do you just need to
I gotta
friend
friend
people?
people too.
gotta go
I think
online.
I don't know.
Scare
in
me away.
Steam. I'm always invisible on
Here-
Steam,
here,
but
here, I'll give out my friend
Did it.
code.
so people can't see how much I play freaking Monster Hunter.
Oh god, me doing this is okay. Everything's fine.
See, I'm friends with Lynn.
Yeah, I can't believe we're not friends. I don't think we are.
I don't
Is it
think
just
we.
the
I don't think we've
host
ever
that
done a Steam game collab before. Which
That's
is probably
true.
Yep,
But thank
there
you.
is a
Getting
share
eaten,
chat.
no
Yes,
one can
we can
stop
see it
you?
all.
Hold
We
up.
can see it all.
why.
Exposed. Everyone's exposed.
You can run, but you can't hide.
I'm watching you, Wazowski.
Always watch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I told my coworkers that I could do that voice, and they made me send them a voice recording.
Oh, I
Incredible.
got
that's-
a mute
that's
in
where you messed up.
Discord.
You should never have divulged that information.
Dahlia. Do you want me to send my friend code or do you want to send yours?
Everyone's just sending their friend code in the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put mine in the chat. On
Yeah, I
Discord.
saw both of y'all's. There's mine.
Okay, thank you. Wait, Jamie, are you invisible?
That's mine.
Wait, am I?
No, you're not.
oh, Is it
Ignore
because
me.
I had Repo
Don't always ignore
open
me, but
after
just
VTube
ignore me right
Studio?
now.
Sometimes that makes it stinky.
Stinky.
Okay. Approve.
Almost there. Everything's fine. We're
So who's hosting? Did we
Everything's
decide?
fine.
I'm hosting it.
Okay, got you.
Let
Okay.
me send this invite. Oh. Oh. What the heck? Did I already? Oh.
Do I have to click something?
One of
in
y'all
the
sound like
Repo
they're in an
menu?
empty warehouse. I think that's Dahlia, but I think that's just your mic.
Could also just be me.
Dang!
Wait, me?
Dang.
It also doesn't help that there might be an echo because there is in game.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in-game chat.
Oh, okay, we gotta start
Time
deafening.
for deafening.
Yeah.
time.
we-
Hold on, I don't know what to do.
Hang,
Testing.
Don't
One,
hang on,
two.
Mia. Let's.
What gate should we in?
Oh God, where is she?
Look at us. Wait, can we change our colors?
Bill.
Yes, we can.
Yes, yes.
Did you get my friend
There's
request?
so many colors.
Wait, I gotta be like, I'm like peach pink. This one, yes. Ha ha ha! Let's go.
Okay, how do they all sound? Can you guys hear them?
Let me try again.
I can hear everyone.
I don't think I can. Oh my god.
Okay, Bill. Invite game.
Uh-oh, Lynn's having difficulties again.
Oh,
Again.
no.
Oh, yeah,
What, the eye look creepy right now. Look at my eyes.
Audio sources in game. Cornbread, I'm coming for you. Please spare me.
There's BL.
Please. Okay.
You got BL. There we go.
I think that's everybody.
Guys, let me know
Yes.
how everyone sounds, too. Or everyone should let us know.
Yeah. How we sound. I know. it's
Testing
good for
one.
me,
How do
but I
you
know
do
it's
that?
good for my ear.
Oh, it's...
So if you type T, it'll open the chat window, and then you can type stuff, and it'll do like a TTS.
Also, you can, in the bottom left corner, you can click change color and change your character to whatever color you want.
Oh, I love that.
Wait, how do you change the color? Say that again.
Bottom
left. Yeah. And BL, you can
Oh,
mute
change
yourself.
color.
Why? Oh, BL, you need to change your mic again. BL, your mic.
No.
Okay.
You just need to mute yourself in Discord.
No.
I did.
She's got her microwave headset on right now. You need to change.
I don't understand why it decided that that's like my automatic input.
Did you have an update recently, like a Windows update?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
because I might have reset your
that
stuff.
fixed?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
W.
It's so long. It's so long.
Why does it sound like
saying all that? Hello?
It sounds like you guys are about to start rapping. W.
How are y'all doing that though?
You just
Hey.
type T.
So if you press T, you
Oh,
can
I
type
see
in the
that, I
chat,
see, yep.
and it's a TTS.
Oh.
Someone do the sprinkler noise. Someone do the sprinkler noise.
Which one is that? Is it this one? No, that's just
This
TCH.
one's my favorite.
Happening.
This one's my favorite.
What the hell?
It's too
Is
funny.
everyone
Yo.
prepared? Is everyone ready to go in? Do they have any questions?
I don't know what
Should I
I'm
press
doing,
start?
but it's fine.
I don't know what I'm doing either, but we'll figure it out along the way.
Okay. We can learn.
Oh,
Learn a
I
lot.
love learning. Just kidding. I hate learning.
Technically,
Actually.
there was a tutorial, but it's okay.
I didn't
Nah,
do the
sure.
tutorial.
Wonderful.
Level 1.
All right, we're at.
What could go
Whoa.
wrong? What
Hello,
could go
everyone.
wrong?
Oh.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh. Faces.
Oh my lord! Actually, I'm really
Alright,
Look
impressed
at
by
all
the
those
textures.
little guys.
Wait.
This is us. Okay, I will. The way you're all looking at me.
Alright, everyone circle up. Everyone circle up.
Okay, circle up. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Oh, crouch.
Okay.
Oh,
Look
have
at we
to
can
figure
pick
out
up corn.
listening
Wait,
ears.
guys, you can pick up cornbread, and we can.
Yo, you're so tiny.
Hello. Hello, I'm small. I just a little grounded. I just a little fairy.
You fell over. The purple one is BL. No, BL's not purple. What just happened? Did I die?
What the fuck?
What's happening right now? Why is BL floating? Why is BL floating?
What is happening?
What is happening?
I'm crying.
That's weird.
Cry.
What was that?
How do you do that?
So if you hit left control, you can crouch normally, but if you hit Q, you can do an omega crouch.
You're like a little
Mega
baby.
crouch.
Yeah, and then if
And then you can pick 'em up.
If you sprint with shift, jump, and then hit Q, you can like yeet yourself.
Yeah. And the crouching and the Q will come in handy if you have to hide under things.
Yeah.
Don't
What?
worry about.
So I think you can
anything
slide
that's
as well.
happening. I don't
Parkour.
actually like start.
If I have
Cool.
to hide.
Yeah, no, Lynn is purple, BL is
Um.
pink-ish. I don't have feet.
You got a lot of purple.
You
colors
I'm also
here, That's all I'm
orange.
gonna say.
Oh,
You're
okay.
like a pale orange.
I'm supposed to be. Actually, it's peach, but okay.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Don't look at me like that.
Hello. I'm gonna gobble your ankles.
Not
I can gobble your ankles.
Hello.
Oh.
And you. Well, what do you go?
Hello.
Oh, she got picked up!
Brad,
Wait, how do you pick things up? Wait. Where are we going? What's happening?
What is
okay,
happening?
There you go.
I found the computer.
Okay, wait.
Okay,
oh,
okay.
Computer.
Listen, Linda, listen,
Is that something we
listen.
needed?
I'm listening to you, Dahlia. I'm listening. Hello, I'm here.
You pick things up with left click to pick things up, and then right click when you're holding it. You can rotate it. This is our cart. We want to put things in the cart because it's
that's the
monies.
same as my regular Amazon day. That makes sense.
And then we need in the top right, it shows us how much we need to put in this one here. So, but we can bring the cart with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
$11,000.
things are kind of fragile, so you just want to not break them, but or you can.
Yeah.
You
So
know. I mean,
if we collide with it, or if like, a wall collides with it, it can shatter like easily.
The way BL side eyes everyone. Don't look at me like that.
It's fine. It's fine.
One more thing to just be mindful of is in the top left corner, that's your health bar. So if it's getting low, just, be careful.
A health bar?
Yeah, and also... Also behind each of us, like if we look at each other's backs, we can see each other's health bars. And if any of us get low, if you go behind them and then hold left click, we can give each other health.
Oh, okay.
And tab is you can see the map, and then if someone's seen like a thing, it'll be like a little yellow dot on the map.
Yeah, noted. That's the important bit.
I'm not gonna remember any of this. I hope you know, but okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine.
One more thing that you will probably forget is the stuff that you can pick up when you look at it. It'll be like highlighted, kind of yellow.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't pick up everything.
It's kind of like lethal in that sense. Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna forget all of this the second a monster comes at me. I'm gonna panic and just run around.
I'm gonna die. It'll be fine.
If you need help, just yell.
I'll just be dead the whole time.
Oh no! It's fine.
What just happened?
What in the hell?
I mean, what's pick upable? They said it would glow, right?
Yeah. You'll know when you see it. You'll know. Like, but you can look around. Like,
you've been living life after life.
Okay, hold on. Nice and easy.
Okay.
Nice and easy. This is
gosh. What's
explosive.
Explosive.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is it saved once it's in the cart?
I think we should take it. I think we should take this.
Things in the cart can still break, but like they're less breakable. I think once they're in there, like it's harder to break them once they're in there.
Yeah,
so like when a monster comes out, what do you do?
Hope for the best.
Run for your life.
So there's no like
you can. Yeah, you basically just gotta find a corner and hope for the best.
I don't know actually.
Oh
Drinks.
Lord.
Oh wait a minute! Oh,
I
What
want
was that?
orange soda.
Ocarina.
Okay, ocarina.
Yo, shout out to Zelda.
Shout out to Zelda. I know that's
Shout out to Zelda. My favorite guy. My favorite hero of time.
My favorite guy.
No.
That is glowing, but I think it's just because it's a
fuck the lamp, I
lantern.
guess.
Yeah, I haven't found anything.
Did we look
Is that
in here? What's
outside?
in here?
Is that BL? It is BL.
Yeah.
Look at it. Oh, you fell.
I fell?
BL did.
Oh.
Hi, BL. Hi, how's it going? Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Hello.
You're so pretty.
Should we just let them do all the work and we'll just chill out here?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Small. Yeah. I'll just be small. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with whatever.
Don't worry about it. Oh. I found a thing.
You found a thing.
We can't let.
I broke it.
I think you broke it.
Oh.
Can we
can't
close
let
this
Lynn
door?
see
Wait,
this
is there
one.
something else behind here?
We
Oh.
can't let Lynn see this one.
I just wanted to see
It's
if
the
there was.
frog.
Oh, that's the
Oh,
frog.
it's a frog.
I haven't
The
found
hands
one
are kind of
yet.
scary. The little like claw hands.
Popular. I'm gonna be popular. Okay, just be careful, Bubba. Just be very
It's
careful.
just like me for real. Oh,
be
you
very
got this.
careful.
Oh. Also, you can
got it.
use the scroll wheel to pull it closer. To
Oh, thank you. That's so much.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so wiggly. Oh, okay.
You got
I'm
this,
scared.
Lynn.
Why
not
is it
Lynn,
so
you're Bubs.
wiggly?
You got
How
this,
dare
Bubs.
you? Yippee! I contributed!
Gamer.
That took me so long.
What's up, guys.
All right, who wants me to? All right.
Oh, I found stuff. I broke stuff.
Oh, yeah, I was breaking everything.
I'm the responsible one here. Should scare everybody. I think everyone should be so
I
scared.
went on my own because
Pick stuff
I'm a
up.
brave berry.
You can use your
I went
mouse
on my own.
scroll wheel to bring it further away or closer.
I'm a brave berry.
Oh, there's something fun in there.
The chaos. So what happens when you die? Is there like
How big
a
is the
dead
explosion?
person chat, you
Cornbread?
think? Like a... It's so quiet when everyone's gone. Should I be alone in here, guys? I'm gonna go, cause that don't seem right. I'm gonna go. Where did everyone go? Oh, they're back. Okay. Oh my god, there was something sticky in the bathroom. It was freaky.
Thank you.
Very sticky in the bathroom. Maybe don't go to the bathroom, guys. It was gross in there. Just don't go to the bathroom. I don't know what that was, but it made funky noises. I didn't like it.
Oh.
Oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
What?
By the way,
My eyes are creepy now. Oh, okay, that scared me.
you have to go right now.
Why?
Alright, let's go.
Why?
It sounds so fast.
Oh, okay. Are we fine? Or like,
I think
whoa,
what's happening?
why are eyes glow? Oh.
Alright, so we
Well, we're
just
just
send a
walking
message to the
close, huh?
tax man.
Nice.
Yippee! I contributed
You
a
guys are
cup.
so good.
Yep.
Oh.
We survived.
That just means the next
did
round
it.
is gonna be so
Yippee!
fucked up. It's gonna be so
So
fucked up.
easy. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, we're
your
so
voice is
good
in-
at this. We're so
That was
good.
Oh my god, look,
Easy.
we're rich.
No harm.
Extract
Okay, we have
items to
money.
purchase. What do we do with money? This is like
We can
lethal, I think,
buy,
but funky.
Yeah.
we can buy health stuff if someone needs help, but I don't think anyone.
Huh?
We can get a trank gun. Trank guns are pretty
Chicken
OP.
jockey.
So are we like the minions where if I pick you up and crack your back and shake you, you kind of
Oh! I want the
Excuse-
frying pan!
Is that what
Why is it so expensive? I want the frying pan!
my back.
So that I can bonk them.
Oh
Oh!
my god.
energy crystal, valuable tracker,
I want it. I want it.
stun grenade.
I want the
shockwave
frying
mine.
pan.
Ooh. Medium health. Oh.
Eyelid.
Oh.
Shit. Sorry. I thought I walked into somebody.
No, it's okay.
A roll drone? What is a roll drone? And a
I
feather
don't know,
drone.
actually.
What is that?
Feather drones help like carry stuff.
Walkies.
So like if you have like a really big item, a feather drone can like yank it and like
Are we gonna talk
like,
about how a
take it with you.
stun mine is just a bear trap?
Yeah. Yeah, look, minor details.
Whoa.
Ooh, is
Frying
this?
pan.
Oh, sorry.
Toilet.
Oh yeah, I was. Wait, we don't have our flashlights anymore.
No.
Oh, apparently
This
not.
is just our little
Who
shop.
needs those?
We're just shopping.
I
Toilets.
feel like
that's
taking the
true,
buddy
we can-
system
oh,
a
yeah.
little
Ew, that's icky. That's gross. Ew.
It's so stinky.
All right, are we buying anything or nah? Wait, can we give ourselves upgrades
Yeah.
for the whole?
We should buy something because I don't think we keep it the money. We gotta spend
Why
it.
does this just look like jail?
I want-
Wait, I thought we did.
I
keep the
want
money.
stamina
Really?
upgrade. Stamina
Maybe my
upgrade.
friend
seems-
lied to me.
I thought we did.
Where did we buy it?
Okay.
I'll get a health pack.
The juice boxes are great.
Yeah, I want
Alright.
stamina. Do we have to put it
Juice
here?
Boxes. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this for
I don't know if
everyone
they're
or is it
actually
just
juice
per
boxes,
person?
But they look like it. Per person. But like
I walked into a frying pan.
Is it permanent these upgrades or is it only per
yeah.
round? Oh, cool.
Please have mercy.
Until you die.
You're
Okay.
going to time out. Oh
Yeah.
Oh my god, what's happening?
Oh.
Ha, I'm fighting back. I'm fighting back.
Who was just?
I will not stand for this.
Don't worry about it.
Were you just turning cornbread into corn toast?
No.
Corn toast?
Corn toast. That's me.
That's crazy.
Let me be very
Extra
clear.
jump,
Toast,
fumble
not
line.
toes. That's a whole other problem. That's a whole other part of the
No,
internet.
no. Get the toes out of here.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good things. Yeah.
If you ever end up on Feet Finder, I guarantee you that has to be your username.
Feet Finder?
The frying pan. I want the frying. Ow!
Oh
my juice! I dropped my juice!
Easy there, easy!
That's why I wanted the frying pan. I was literally talking about it. I wanna be Rapunzel.
They got a pan!
Stay out of the kitchen.
I wanna be just like Rapunzel.
Oh my gosh, this is a straight up.
Nope,
You put that frying pan down right now.
I need to go sit in my corner.
Nope.
I need to go sit in my corner. Oh, hello.
There
You
we
want to
go.
join me in the corner? Yes, join the corner.
Shit, I can't. That's okay.
Are you okay? You look a little... Oh, there you go. You looked a little round there for a second.
Little eyes are so funny.
I know. We're just staring into each other's soul right now.
I know.
Hello.
Hello.
My, what round eyes you have. Oh, the better to see you with, my dear.
I love that our bodies, when we're like this, it's all forehead.
I know.
All forehead.
Truly forehead. Are we ready, guys? Are we ready to go?
Are we ready? What are they doing?
I don't know. They're
Oh,
fighting.
Still hitting the left hand.
They're fighting over there.
Is
The girls are fighting. What if I do this?
Oh. Wait, you can do that? Wait, you can do that? Wait, you can do...
Oh,
Hey, I think you guys should.
You guys are gonna die. You guys are gonna die.
I think you guys should get in here.
You should get on the...
We didn't buy anything. We didn't buy anything.
Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! So self-destruct.
Well, that's one way to get them to stop slacking.
Oh no.
We were about to self-destruct.
Yeah, because you guys were taking too long.
We didn't buy anything.
Yo, those are good
add to
bombs.
Fletch BL.
Well-
okay, we still have our money. It
That's
looks
fine.
like, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh,
It's fine. It's
Nice.
fine. It's fine.
Yeah, because I don't think we bought anything.
no.
Yeah, because like once we put
I'm
them
gonna
on
join
that
you
thing,
over
we have we gotta press a button.
It's fine.
Hello, B. Oh.
I don't know how to get down there.
She keeps falling on her face, and it's really funny.
I don't know how to get small.
Mama loves the corner.
I like my
You gotta get
corner.
super small.
I'm just a berry.
Y'all, look! There's cornfield.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't know how to
going.
get down
You're
there.
home.
Oh.
Yeah, my
Hitting the
brothers
road.
and sisters.
Oh.
Oh, that's dark.
No more, no more, no more, no more.
Oh, this is like Hogwarts.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Welcome to Hogwarts.
Going right into the
Is
problematic, aren't we? Okay.
I was
Oh,
going
Lord.
to say, so is this the homophobic level or what?
What does that mean? BL, what does that mean?
Card.
Oh my
I'm just asking.
Dad.
Ooh, I want to pick this up. Is it heavy?
That's crazy.
How would you know?
Hey, a
Any,
trophy.
Oh, I'm so
Oh,
scared.
easy.
any treasure over here? That's a
riding.
lantern, very shiny.
Oh my god,
I'll go for a
ocarina.
ride.
Let's go.
Another
Let's-
ocarina.
Oh.
So yes, she's a passenger princess.
Take me for a ride.
Oh, hey, look, it says run on the
A
wall.
cauldron. Oh my god, that's someone. I thought that was a monster. I already jumped.
Oh, another
Did
ocarina.
you get spooked by a cabinet?
No. No. No.
No, that didn't happen.
No. What are these noises I'm hearing? I feel like a painting should be.
It might be a monster.
Oh
my god, who went in the cauldron?
Someone went in the cauldron.
Yeah, if you sit in there long enough, it launches you.
All right.
Good.
What?
Oh god.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
Oh my god.
So BL.
Evan, thank you so much.
And there we have it. 3 full years.
3 full years is crazy. Thank you. Wait, there's noises. Guys, there's noises. Oh, what the frick is this? Yo, this shit kind of trippy. What is this? Yo, it's very heavy. Oh my god. Oh wow. This kind of, oh, I'm going so slow. What's happening right now? Wait, what's happening? What? Are you making fun of me? Oh, I dropped it. Wait, I didn't mean to drop it. I'm so slow right now. Oh, it's worth a lot. Okay, hold on. If we just keep inching our way forward, we'll be fine. What was that? What was that?
That's slow putting it down.
It takes a long time. You do it, Lynn. You pick it up. Are you guys okay? Are they all right? I don't know if they're okay. Oh, shiny. Oh, it's so shiny. Oh my god, it looks so shiny. Look at it.
Oh, what you guys have there?
Oh my god, it's so shiny. Damn, this shit bussin'.
It's the way the eyes. Look at how the eyes.
I love doing shrooms on the weekend with the homies.
Okay, I'm gonna let them deal with that.
That's good.
I'm gonna let them deal with that. I'm gonna let them deal with that. I found it, but it's okay. They can. Ooh, shiny. I found another shiny. Okay. Just be careful, Bubba. Be careful. How much more can we zoom in? Be careful. Be careful. My friends are going freaking crazy over there. Be careful. No! Don't bump into them!
Who dropped it?
You bumped into me! Oh my god!
Who dropped it?
Literally all of us.
Oh my god.
Where does this need to go?
Did it break? Where's the cart? Oh, I just put it over here. I don't know where the cart is. Okay. Boop! Yippee! Where did the cart go? Did they bring it inside? I'm just doing my own thing, guys. I'm chilling over here. Oh my god. Wait, where's the cart? Is BL okay? Literally gave him an hourglass of drugs and left. That's how I distract them. Yeah, so I can do my business. They're very easily distracted, guys. I'm gonna do my own thing and just let them they're very easily distractible if you couldn't tell. Okay. I'm a brave berry. Class of 87. Ooh, shiny. Oh, hello.
Hi.
I'm just doing my own thing while everyone's distracted. We gotta go.
Is this how
do we look in here?
No, it's the other way.
In the cubbies.
Yeah.
Where we need to go?
I haven't explored this way. Wait.
I'm gonna take this.
Tell me
why this room is bigger than the one I had at university.
Is this a shelf? Can we move this? No. It looks like there's a secret door, but oh no.
You know, kind of remind me of my friend at university when she would drink. She's really lovable, but she turned into a bit of a klepto, and sorry, just that sentence was just totally her.
Oh,
Take that shelf.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Cecina Cloud, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I have to do this while everyone can hear me, but it's okay.
I didn't expect it to be a dead end this time.
Oh.
I guess maybe.
I think, did we get everything?
In there, I guess.
Oh, there's stuff on the shelf.
There were some funky noises before. Where?
Oh, wait. Here. Go small. Press
Go
Q.
Small?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can
wrong one.
lift you.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Try to. Wait, can I lift you? Oh, maybe I'm not strong enough. Oh, wait.
Oh, there she goes.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh,
What is that
there we
noise?
go.
What is that noise? What is that noise?
Oh, that was. Oh, they're extracting the goodies.
Oh, Lynn fell.
Oh.
Find the next extraction point.
I don't
Oh.
know where I don't know what I'm looking at. Where am I?
Oh, here's something.
Yeah, what was that?
Ocarina?
Where did everyone else go?
Oh,
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
There we go.
Butterfingers, it's fine.
I got it. Where's the cart?
What is it?
I think they brought it
Look at
back.
me.
Over there.
What is it? Lit ass staring directly at it, cross-eyed.
What it is? Oh, the feet. Get it right.
She was so cross-eyed. Look at her.
Oh my god.
Wait, am I cross? Why am I so cross-eyed?
Because you're looking at it.
Yo, what's going on?
She has to look at it.
I'm looking at it like, what is
She's
it?
cross-eyed.
What is happening?
Look up a little bit, Lynn. Look how cross-eyed she gets trying to look at it.
Oh my god.
That's so cute, actually.
She's like a cat chasing after the toy. Where is it, Lynn? Where is it?
Cube. I need help moving it.
Oh, someone's big head just.
Find the
Oh
second-
wait!
Oh, brother.
No, $65.
No, wait! You moved it.
The $65.
Wait, we gotta find the
Wait,
second.
Careful.
Cornbread.
Have you
Cornbread.
seen the second
Wait.
like extraction?
You
place?
went to 3,000.
No, what does it look like?
Well,
What are
So
these
you
You
noises?
just this way.
where we started, it said
Wait,
there's
wait,
a-
wait,
Oh, there's
hold on.
there's a thing. There's a thing.
What? Okay, what?
Wait,
Okay.
wait, relax.
Close the door.
Where is it?
Shush.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I think someone's dying. Oh.
Oh no.
I can't move while I do this.
You guys trying to get under the bed is so funny.
How do you get under?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Ouch. I don't think we're hiding very well, guys.
I don't know about you, but I'm under that.
Who's we?
I don't know how to get under it.
Hi.
Hello. I always wanted to hide under a bed with you.
Really?
I'm gonna
Tell me more.
This is such a fun bonding experience. I love girl time. Girl time is my favorite. I really like bonding with the homies.
Oh, shh.
Okay.
It's so much fun.
Wait, are we good? Okay, I think we're good.
I don't hear our friends.
Did they die?
They I don't see their bodies.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I do. I found a. Oh no.
Oh.
No. Okay, we have to.
Hi, Cecina, welcome in.
Here.
We still haven't found the second extraction.
I've got your head, homie. I got your head, homie.
We have to find the second point. I don't know where it is.
I don't know where it is either.
I don't know what I'm doing.
By extracting their heads?
Extraction point? What the frick does that mean?
Well, I don't even know if that's.
Keep going straight. If we pull up the map, I think there's like a red.
There's a map?
Oh, okay.
There's a
Yeah,
map?
so keep walking
There's
straight.
a map?
Yeah.
How the frick do you do that? Oh, it's dark in
No,
here.
it's down on my D-pad.
But this is where we started.
It's tab on computer or tab on PC.
This is the one we started at. It's not the right one.
Oh.
I want to wear this. I want to be cool.
I don't see it on the map.
What? How do you open the map?
Tab.
Hold down tab.
Thank you. Oh. I think you guys told me and I just didn't hear the first time because I was too busy being freaked out.
There's a lot going on.
Good.
Extraction point. Well, do we have to go in the dining hall area?
That way's a dead
I
end.
think there's
That's what I'm wondering,
more
yeah.
this way.
That's where they died.
Oh, he's in here. He's in here. The monster's in here. The monster's in here.
Is he gonna chase us?
Back the fuck up.
What is that? 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 Grab him?
Little dome.
Oh, he broke one. Oh, what? Do they steal our stuff? What the frick?
Yeah, they break stuff.
they-
Yeah, fucking throw him. That's right. Don't you ever come in my cart again.
Okay.
What? Oh,
happened?
I don't know. I panicked. Sorry.
Are you good?
There's a monster over there in that hallway.
How are we gonna get to the other extraction point if we can't go in there?
I don't know. I apologize for my screams. I do scream a lot.
Did anybody buy any weapons?
No, we didn't buy anything.
Wonderful. Love that
We
for
get
us.
it. You wanted the frying pan.
So do we end or? I got really scared. Sorry. I'm gonna stay under the table. Safety table. Safety
Did
table.
everybody else die?
Safety table is crazy. Can we not?
He's right around this corner. He's right around that corner.
Oh, it's like a scanner. It's like a scanner. So you hold down tab and you can. Can we not use the same extraction point more than one?
No, it closed.
Oh.
When Dahlia and I dumped the stuff, it was like, okay, this one's done. Find the other one. So should
what do we do? Should we just die? Yeah, let's just say fuck it and die.
Should one of us go out there and like sacrifice ourselves to distract the monster?
Oh, he's gone. He's gone. What is that? Oh, wait. Dahlia died too.
Oh no.
They left us. They left us all alone. The three freaking stooges that don't know what to do.
I know.
What? Oh wait.
The three
There's a
stooges.
slide room. Wait, guys.
The three stooges.
This way.
What?
They're in here.
That's where the monster is.
Yeah, that's the problem. The monster's in here.
Well, we don't have a choice. It's either this.
Okay.
Either die.
If I see the monster, I'm gonna
we
run
get the
towards it,
extraction
and you guys keep going.
But don't we need to bring the cart?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll get it.
I still don't see the extraction point.
But you know.
I think it's straight ahead. There's a gold thing.
Yeah, straight ahead.
I heard some kind of something.
Nope, maybe not. Oh! The frick is this? Oh, it's so heavy. I don't think I'm still. It's so heavy. Oh, I don't think I can grab that. Okay. BL suggested, so BL, you shall be remembered. What is that?
There should be something in here.
What is that? Did nobody hear that? Guys.
Real go.
We have a box up here, up the stairs,
Oh,
but I
just
can't hold it.
It's too heavy, I know. I got that before too. Oh, okay. Extraction point.
Oh, did you find it?
I think so. It's just there's a big button here.
Let's get out of
Look
here.
out though. Look out, because it comes down and I want you to get shmup.
Okay. What comes down? BL, come here.
Oh.
I'm coming. Is there a run button?
Yeah, shift. Just shift.
I'm playing with my controller.
Oh, right.
I don't know. You could play with the controller. Whatever you run with on controller. Left bumper, maybe?
Does it just go or like?
Do we have to
I think
do
we
something?
have to have enough money.
Oh. Lord. But wait, maybe
let's leave it here and let Hobson
wait.
do it. Yeah.
Come up the stairs. Somebody come up the stairs with me.
I'm coming.
There was a box, but I couldn't see what was in it because I was trying to hold the lid open.
Maybe you both have to carry it together. Yeah.
I got you.
Well, there's like something in there. Is there anything in there?
Go look.
There's a big gold box in the other room too.
Is there fall damage in this game?
I do not know.
I have no idea.
Time to test it. There's that big gold box in the other room.
Okay.
Was there fall damage?
No.
I don't think so, but I think I need your help with this. Can we close this?
Yeah.
Because that's where he was. Oh, no, it doesn't want to. Okay.
No, we can't.
I need your help with this. It's 9,000. It should be enough. Help me carry it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to help us?
God.
Yeah.
It's so
I hear something. I hear something. Keep going. We're so close.
Shh.
Okay. My dog is slurping water. Pardon him. Okay.
Watch out, it's gonna squish us. Watch out, get out.
Get out where? Look at PL.
PL. Biel?
Biel? Biel?
Biel? Oh. It's not fine.
What do we do?
Unfortunately, let's get the fuck out of here.
How do we get out of here? Why is it saying? Why is there a sad face?
Wait.
Now what?
Yeah. What? Wait.
Now what?
What?
The box broke?
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, we gotta find something else. We only need 4,000 more. Surely there's something. That's crazy.
No, 4,000 is what we have. That's not what we need. That's what we have.
What do we need?
Look at the total on the top right. We need like 6,000
Oh
more.
my god, okay, 6,000. I'm crying from beyond the grave. Biel was like, guys, get out of the way, and she's standing there the whole time.
The box wasn't in the cart. What?
There's something over there, straight ahead. It was glowing. It looked like a man.
Oh. Oh, that's good. Well, look at your scanner. Well, bro, I don't think there's anything left. Oh wait, we have another room. Okay.
Where?
Okay. Straight
The straight ahead is where we came from, but there's something standing
ahead.
there.
Well, we don't have a choice.
Okay, I'll go with you. I'm a coward.
Let's do this.
Okay. Why is it always the cowards that stay left behind? Oh.
And to the left. Oh, did you go in here? Because I don't like that door's open.
Biel, hide. Hide. Lynn. Come here. I saw a bunch of gnomes. Okay, we gotta go. Oh.
This is not gonna be enough.
Fuck. Will just spawn a mere few feet from you, and I did not know till the last game. Oh no. Did you find something?
Yeah, I found a vase.
I don't know if it can hear us or not. That's why I'm like, because you know some monsters, at least in lethal, some can hear you and some can't.
Yeah.
6,000 more.
No, we have 6,000.
Okay.
We need 3.
Math. Yes, we need math more.
4,000. Yeah.
Oh, there was a bunch of gnomes as well.
I know those fuckers.
But I don't think they know where our cart
hear
is.
No, you guys can become a monster.
Oh, they said apparently it can despawn anywhere, so it might not even come back out of that direction.
Oh, hell. Well, that's terrible.
Yeah, I hate it.
Oh, I got a crown. It's only 600 though. God.
The frick.
And now it's less.
And now it's less.
Immediately it's less.
Look on the top bunk. What is that noise out here? Oh, there's
nothing in there.
No, that's not grabbable. What about that one? Oh, there's something up there. There's something very shiny up there.
Ooh, what's that?
How do we grab it?
Heart thingy? What's that? 2,000?
Who the frick said that?
What?
What?
What the?
What?
Is that them talking from beyond the grave?
I sure hope so.
I would hope, right?
Is there anything else? Oh, I'll grab the crown. That's gotta be them.
It's gotta be.
It's so much more scary without them around. What is that?
I hope you realize that.
Oh no.
Oh, it's still not enough.
It's still not enough. What do we do? It's so much more scary without them around. Are these openable? Oh. Oh.
Oh. Fuck yeah.
That's 2,400. Holy shit.
Diamond. Oh,
a plate. Yeah. Oh, we're good. It's right next to this thing too. Okay. You got the diamond. Was there one more thing?
This'll do it. This'll do it. This'll do it.
Wait, hold on. Let me just. I'm greedy. Let me just be greedy. Did you turn it in already? Oh, fuck.
Can we leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Run.
Run where?
To the thing.
Share your health. Ah! They're back! We did it!
Let's go!
Fuck you, Gnomes. Let's go!
Let's go! We're so back! Oh,
you want the?
You want some of this?
God, no!
Oh, you want the smoke, you gnomes?
Oh, we don't need this.
Gnomes!
Yeah.
I just hope you guys know that the two people that are the most afraid somehow were the last one standing. We are the biggest one.
Wait, oh no!
Wait, I only have one health. Oh god.
Bubs, come back.
Who needs
oh
help?
God, oh my god.
Stand still. Oh my god.
Bubs, stand still.
Oh, nice yeet. Beautiful yeet.
Ow.
Bubs,
Thank you.
stand still.
I'm standing still.
I'm trying to heal you.
Oh, there's a monster. Oh. Monster, monster.
Oh.
Shit! No!
Oh god, these guys hurt.
We might be good.
Uh-oh.
We might be good.
Did everyone die?
Yeah, I think so.
That was so quick.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna peek.
Oh.
Okay. So we gotta book it to the exit. We gotta book it back to the ship.
Okay, which way is that?
So if you hit tab, the map will show you the way to go, like the dots.
Is that the enemy right there?
Yeah. It's I think that's a dead I think that's one of our dead friendos.
Okay. Oh god.
Gnomes.
God, there's so many of them.
Yeah, take that.
There's another one. There's another one. Oh, he's right there. He's right there. How are you supposed to get past him? Oh, I died. I died. I don't even know how I got grabbed. Anyone alive? Who's still alive?
Press the button. I don't know how to press the button. How press the button.
Is that Lynn?
Help.
Yeah, it's Lynn.
Oh my god.
Send the message to text me.
Okay, never mind. There you go.
Oh my god. I don't even know how I got killed. I just died. Oh my god. That's crazy.
The way I screamed hide and no one heard.
I was hiding. I don't know how I died, but I did. Wow. That was only
under a
round
table,
2.
I think, and all I saw was like this bright red like smacking, and I'm like, no.
Round freaking 2. We almost party wiped
You
there.
fighting the fucking gnomes in the
Oh
car
my gosh, yeah.
had me rolling.
Killing me.
Yo,
So
they-
many
they-
gnomes,
so
and
many
they were
gnomes.
following
What
you.
is that sound?
There really
that
were
was
so many.
Baby, I'm buying this health pack.
Did
Yeah,
we
really.
use any of the health pack?
I didn't think
How do you
we
even
No,
use the health pack?
we left. Remember, we started the
Oh,
van
that's
before we
true.
paid. Before we
Oh,
paid for our goods.
Okay, I'm getting a grenade.
Okay.
Can
How
we
do you
heal?
get it?
Later
What do you
on.
do with it?
Oh, you put it over here. There's a little checkout.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. There's like a checkout box.
I like how their definition of transaction.
Oh, the ceiling tile thing. Yeah. There's like a hidden shop.
Oh, we're
somewhere in
already out
here.
of money.
Here, I can put a health pack back.
We are over. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's like,
We're
buy
so
this,
over budget.
buy this. Oh.
That is the budget of fear, my friend.
Wait, did anybody
Well, I
get
don't
any
think we buy
weapons?
anything
I
with
feel
it,
like
though.
weapons are more important.
Yeah, BL's like, get her done. I gotta
You know, it's like, where's that frying pan?
locked and loaded.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
okay,
if we're-
okay,
if we're
okay. I'm gonna
dead, the
buy.
health
I'm gonna buy
packs don't
2
help.
grenades. It's a
Are
bright out.
you?
Wait.
Okay,
Alright,
we're at
are we
48.
good?
We're at 48. All right.
We good?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so.
Press the button.
I like how this is
Press the
so.
button.
My chat is not used to this at all. They've all disappeared. They're all like hiding in the freaking panels right now.
Like, what is this?
I am not ready
Oh,
for
do y'all-
this.
Do y'all know about the?
So shy.
Do y'all know
What's
about the
in
ceiling
there?
tile up here?
Wait,
Wait,
what?
what the fuck?
It's a hidden shop.
Oh.
What?
How
do you get up
there?
there?
The way we're all jumping.
Try to stand on this.
Do we
Be a little guy.
Can you
Little
stack?
guy.
Can I throw you up there?
Oh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We
Here.
could throw each other.
Check me.
It's so funny
Let me
seeing
in. Put me in, coach.
Oh, wait.
Oh. I look
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Wait. And
so funny. Oh.
fuck.
It looks so stupid.
Uppies. Oh god.
Yeah, you want uppy?
Oh.
That's great.
Anyone else want to go up there?
No, I'm okay. Oh.
Oh,
What just happened up there?
Oh, well.
Down here.
Yep.
Oh, maybe it's a good thing. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh no.
We don't have enough money for the other grenade, so.
He died?
Grenaded himself.
Oh my.
That's crazy.
And yet he's the one who put 2 grenades into a heart.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
This will go well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
We always had a bathroom?
Yeah, we
oh,
did.
Right, the swirly.
The
What
swirly.
are you doing?
Yeah.
PL?
Would you?
Yes,
Oh.
I would-
Disgusting.
That was disgusting, Naya.
I was like, you want to get in there? Alright, go.
You want a hug?
Ew, get your sticky hands away from me. Ew. Icky, gross, icky.
Germs.
Are we going?
I was swimming in the toilet.
I do the definition of swamp ass.
Are we going?
Hug me. Hug me.
Is everyone here?
Oh, you're actually
Wait.
icky.
Kinda. Yeah.
Love me.
You do. Oh. You do.
Wow.
All right, so I had a plan with that grenade.
How do we use these?
I need
Which was
bad.
Oh yeah, I'm at 1 HP. I think we're all at 1
Can't
HP.
we heal each other?
I'm good.
Yeah, we can.
But,
like some of us can use these. Who needs help?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I need one. I need one so bad.
Would
what's
anyone
the
like
plus-
to heal me?
What's the 10? Stamina?
How do I?
Am I dying?
I do
Can
need help.
anybody
I'm
see?
10. Oh, shit.
How do I? Oh.
Okay.
Here, I see you. Do I just click you? Yeah.
I was trying to do that
I'm
and it
gonna
wasn't
take
doing
one
it.
of these.
Well, I think it's 'cause you didn't have health.
21
Oh.
HP and a dream. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Oh, I didn't realize we were actually driving.
So
wow.
you were trying to get
Oh,
help
you
at
take it
1
from
HP.
me. Oh, I see. We
And
give
Right.
That's crazy.
take me home to the place.
Oh, but now you're
I
giving.
belong,
You know what? That's
West
fine.
Virginia.
Everything's fine.
Mountain
Oh,
Mama,
is it like shared
take
health?
me
Oh.
home.
Yeah.
Who
so
wants to
you
be
just-
Heroes.
super strong?
What does that say?
Oh.
What's
Who
happening
wants
behind
to
me?
be
Oh,
a
hello.
strong boy?
Oh hi. Sorry, I was just giving you help.
The way you looked away the second I looked at you, you were like, "That wasn't me." I don't.
Probably not.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the
This
country
one makes
roads.
you strong.
What makes you strong? You don't
Yeah.
Like Wheaties.
Oh,
West
yeah, if you use
Virginia,
that, you can actually
Ridge
like solo some monsters by picking them up and just slamming them.
Jesus.
Water.
Yeah.
Can someone, let's see,
Call me Jingwoo.
can somebody with
This is
more
the
than
new
1
Monster
HP give me
Hunter.
like 1
Oh my
HP?
god.
Bubs, what are you doing up there?
Singing country roads. Look at the roads. Country roads, take me home to the place.
Does anyone want to carry this?
I
Does anyone want to carry
This
this?
just looks like looking at my app.
I don't think I should be
actually
trusted
set
with
those up,
bombs.
So, no.
I cannot be trusted with a
West
grenade.
Yeah, why are you all
Virginia,
backing away from
Mountain
Everyone's like
Mama.
stepping back.
You're
No.
Yo, what
Rock.
way?
Get away from me.
Get me off of this. Get me off of
No,
this.
it's not. You're holding it.
Just keep it. Look at Lynn, cross-eyed again.
The cross.
my eyes cross again.
Wait, so when you
Yeah, the
when you
cross-eyed
heal
is
each
done.
other, do you take some of your own HP or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
apparently.
Ah, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah, you transfer your health.
Would have been
to
too
someone
OP
else, yeah.
otherwise.
Because I gave help to Biel, and then I looked back and she had 1 again. And I was like,
Yeah, I have 1 HP.
Fill the extraction point with valuables. Does anyone want the cart?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll get the cart.
Now you only have
I'll
2.
get the cart.
Oh, what's this? Oh, let's go, a fan.
Oh! Ow! What the frick? You knocked me into the corner.
Yo, who's next to me?
You already knocked me over.
Hey, you ran into me.
I was in the corner. Excuse me.
I was on the bench.
And a little bit of chicken fried. Wait, how do I grab this?
Oh, it's one of those monkey things. The things that like clap.
Oh, I hate those. Those are very
Yeah, me too.
cursed.
Oh, you're strong.
Lynn's the mule.
Strong.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I dropped it! I missed my freaking depth perception.
$59.
My depth perception is a little off. My bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens.
Got it.
Oh, there's 2 of these clapping monkeys.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm surprised it's not going off. Oh.
Right when you said that. Shinies. I wanna be shiny. Oh, I got one of these cursed guys too. Don't go off. Just be quiet, alright? Enjoy the sound.
Yo,
of the
there's no
silence.
proof. There's
I
no
be
proof.
singing to myself 24/7 so I can keep calm.
Conrad!
Not
Did-
to alarm anybody.
Who is next
Whoa!
to me?
Whoa!
Hey, what's behind me?
What just happened?
Behind me?
What was that? Why did I get knocked around? I lost half my HP. What the heck?
I don't know, but
Oh, Jesus, look out! Look out! Look out! Look out!
Back up.
I can't move.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Survival instincts.
Now, I know. You don't have to worry about me. I'm out.
You and I both booked it. Everyone else is screaming. We were like, no, fuck this shit, I'm out. I'ma just grab my shit and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Ooh.
Shiny.
I'm a little afraid to walk back.
Oh.
But... Is there something there?
I don't know. I heard a noise.
Oh.
Do you think they all died?
I don't hear anything.
It got awfully quiet.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Oh, so what the fuck is that? What the fuck is it? Drop the stuff! Drop the stuff! Go, 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 go!
Oh my god, what was that?
I don't know. It was a floating head.
Oh. Oh.
I saw a head. That was someone.
That's someone. Oh no!
Oh.
My Shayla!
Oh, my Shayla!
Okay, where's the map? Okay,
Marco.
So
oh, you're here. Hello. We dropped our shit
hello.
to run away.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
We definitely dropped our stuff to run away. There was a floating head.
Yeah, it killed a lot of people.
We
was...
literally looked at each other. Dropped.
I was like, drop your shit. Let's go.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We gotta get out of here.
Oh.
I don't know where I dropped it, to be honest. It was down there. Are we missing someone? Aren't there 6 of us? Where's Lynn?
Lynn died. I put the head in at the extract.
So 3 of us did die.
Yeah.
Is this just a room full of crates? Okay.
Excuse me.
Run!
Hey, Lamau. Oh god.
I apologize for my noises. Sorry. I just saw something purple.
We were just making noise. Oh no.
Was that Jam? Are you alive?
Jam.
Come here.
Epic gamer moment. I threw the grenade at him.
Let's go!
Yeah.
Let's freaking go!
MLG. Oh my god. Oh gosh.
Let us live our life, man. I think the cart's over here. The grenade was useful as well.
Oh. Yeah.
Do we have everything that we need right now?
Him. Oh.
No, we need 3K more.
Like, yeah. We need a little more. A little bit more.
Why is this map got so many monsters?
Yeah. Oh.
It's not pleasant for me. I don't like that.
My heart is like...
my heart is in my stomach.
Help me pick something up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully that's the last bit we need.
It's big.
Where?
Oh.
This thing, we can pick it up.
The whole thing?
Oh my gosh.
23K?
Yeah.
Oh.
Even if we mess it up a little bit, I think we're good.
Is there something here?
What?
Oh no. I was just the Jesus thing of that.
Oh, will it fit on here? This is kind of awkward. Oh. Wait. How about one person puts the cart? Okay, one person puts the cart, the rest of us hold this thing. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Nice.
It is. Okay, push the cart. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here.
Okay. Can 2 people carry it? That was the question. Oh,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, we're losing a lot of money though.
It's okay.
Oh, it's not very far. It's not very far. You guys got it. You got it, I believe.
What's that child giggling? What was that noise?
giggles?
I heard that too.
Yeah. It's just, well,
Don't
I think it's
piss
fine.
me off.
You guys got
I'm
it.
gonna be
You got this. Oh wait. Before we put it in the thing, we want to put all of this together at the same time, because it'll.
Okay, you push the cart in then.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's that?
Okay.
Oh god, it's so heavy.
Oh, run!
Okay.
Oh no!
We're
Move
good.
it closer! It's gonna break. I think it's gonna break. My break. It might break.
I think we're good.
Did that count?
Yeah.
Yippee!
Yippee!
Oh my god, as long as you meet the money?
That's a lot of money! That's a lot of money!
Yo, I gotta say, Jam, that grenade was clutch.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think I had it in me.
Not the
But apparently,
You turn, look back.
Exactly
Yo,
15K.
Wait, okay.
We
Let's
because
put that on the
the-
cart.
Put it in
Let's put it on
it's
the cart.
excess. Yeah.
Where is the cart?
Behind you,
me
Bia.
or in front of me?
Behind you,
Right here.
Bia. Where's the card? She
Where's
says,
the card?
looking right at it.
Well, I was trying
Oh
not
my
to
god.
go around fast because I was gonna smack you guys with it, and I didn't want to break it.
It's
Yo,
the way
I'm
me and
just like,
Dahlia,
don't
me
do
and Dahlia's survival instincts. We were just like, nope, nope,
We
nope.
heard something and we dropped
Okay,
our
we
stuff
can't
and
heal.
ran.
Does anyone have
I love
high
how
HP?
Everyone is at like 1 HP except Dahlia.
Oh, baby, I'm out of there.
Any HP to spare?
Yeah.
Well,
You ever see
I
any
didn't lose
murder
any HP. I just started out with
Oh
21. I didn't lose any HP. I just never had any to begin
Oh
with.
my god, the way you're all standing in
Not
front
familiar
of
with
the
Repo bin, it's okay. We don't know much
Do
either.
you have some HP to spare?
A little bit of
What the heck?
Would you like to spare some
Spare
HP?
HP, anybody?
Wait, what? So what do we have
Would
to
you
do
like
now?
to spare some HP
we have
to
there's a
a
second
people
next
in
one
need?
we gotta do.
Of course there is.
Oh
Of
my
course there
gosh,
is.
Okay, don't look.
Oh, there I go.
You can't give away your last.
They don't even know that I died. They don't even know that I died.
The child thing that is like an Enderman.
Oh.
They're just vibing. They don't even know that I freaking died.
Oh no, someone died? My Shayla!
Hi, Shayla.
Everyone was so silly, yeah. Hey, wait a minute, where's the card?
Jay, you're the only one that's been here. My chat is not used to horror games. They're all gone.
Potentially.
You're the only one left.
Jam's alive.
That's my head right there. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, Jam's good. I don't know how I didn't.
Oh, we have so many rooms we haven't even discovered.
Oh boy, this game goofy.
Oh, guys, the head is up ahead. The head is over there, the evil head.
The head is ahead.
Oh. The goofy. Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Everyone is dying. Everyone
Oh, no.
is
That was my fault.
Oh
my God.
Everyone is dying. Hello, guys.
I was gonna try to fight it. I was gonna yeet myself to try to fight it.
Oh, Lynn and Dahlia. Oh my god. I should not have run towards y'all.
okay,
Once
good.
it spotted me, I should have just stayed.
Yeah, I'm good. Everybody else here? Just you? Just it's okay.
The head
I
will
was
get
trying
you.
to ram the PC against it, but I don't think I was strong enough.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. Oh. Dear God.
Everyone, frick! I just watched that like chain reaction of everyone dying. I died.
entirely
I
my
didn't
fault,
die to
too.
the head. I didn't die to the head. I was looking at the shelf and something peeked at me through the shelf, and I died. It was like a,
well.
it was like a almost see-through looking purple ghost.
We don't really
weird.
need any more money.
Yeah,
Okay, you're right, you're right.
I don't know what that was, but that's how I died.
Okay, like let's just forget about gathering shit. Let's get the
You're
fuck out
so
of here.
real for that.
Yeah, it was like a purple ghost that was staring at me through the shelf.
A purple ghost.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, gather. Okay, yeah, grab the heads.
Oh no.
Okay, so there's a room straight ahead, and there's a room to the right.
My Shayla's.
I hear something.
Profit from your dead friend.
My Shayla's.
Just be warned. if
Maybe
you
the
still-
child. Oh, I was hearing some giggling. Yeah.
You will
Oh
what?
god.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
run away.
Oh.
I thought the monster that had like the child giggling was like a much bigger one.
I remember the first time I got
it's in
spooked.
that
I also saw
color.
this purple ghost. I've seen the purple ghost twice now.
Oh, okay.
Here would make sense.
Really guitar.
Are you haunted?
Oh, what am I eating? Oh, I have some like peanut butter pretzels.
Oh,
Oh my
just
god,
like
I'm eating
cornbread.
pretzels too.
Yo, let's go. These are so. Oh, I love pretzels.
Pretzel gang. I'm eating
Uh,
Snyder's.
I will only eat
sticks.
pretzels if it's the last snack available. Otherwise,
Really?
it's not my
Dang,
first
that's the
choice.
Bottom tier?
What
Yeah.
about soft pretzels though?
Oh,
Mm,
soft
soft
pretzels,
pretzels
with
are
beer
good.
cheese fucking slap.
With garlic
Soft
dip.
pretzels are goated.
These two rooms.
Hmm.
We have not.
Have we encountered the duck yet? No.
Scared?
I love
Oh, the
how
duck is
Lynn
fun.
is the one consistently surviving.
Yeah, it's either me or Lynn, honestly.
Red?
It's a good thing we
Don't much like that.
we
sound.
gave the strength to them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
They did
Oh,
it!
we're so
Just
Oh, they did
literally
it!
carrying.
Yippee!
Now they have to get back.
Dope.
Uh,
And then we just have to
we
get the
did
fuck
get
out.
money.
No.
Okay, so we just gotta make it back to the ship after this.
You're right.
Yeah.
Back away.
Run to the ship.
Okay,
Run
okay,
to the
okay.
ship.
They got this. They got this.
Yeah, before we get swarmed.
Wow.
Yippee!
We gotta get back on the
Let's
boat.
Yippee! We're
Alright,
alive!
book it.
I don't know where to go. I'm gonna follow you guys.
Careful though.
Oh my god.
Is it still there?
Oh my god. Oh my god. There's an alien too.
No freaking way.
Yeah, careful.
I'm gonna die!
Run.
Run away!
I don't know what to do.
How did two monsters walk into that room? That's crazy! There was two of them! Oh my god! It's so over.
Goodbye, friend. Goodbye.
Oh,
Goodbye.
oh.
Oh, it's revenge.
The way they've given up.
So it's the purple guy! That's the one that I died to! So it wasn't a ghost, it was an alien. Oh. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
You've never seen that thing?
Gil,
Well,
you
that's what
gotta
I
get out.
died
You just gotta
to.
get out,
Hi,
Gil.
Jekko.
I've never seen that thing either. I don't know.
That's what I died to. It was staring at me through the shelf. I just like was trying to pick something up, and there was two eyeballs there, and I was like, oh, and then I died.
Oh, a friend.
Indeed, I just
Wait.
I just died.
Where did Cornbread go? Did Cornbread disconnect or did...
Made it though.
They didn't.
No, he made it.
Oh, okay, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Oh,
Wait. They're okay.
I could have sworn... Okay, I could have sworn there's more of us. Okay, sorry.
There's 6 of us total.
I think they carried a head back to the ship.
Oh,
So
okay.
that revived it, I think.
Oh, that was so scary.
That's how it works.
Crazy.
Oh my god. I can't believe I survived that. I ran around one of the big heads. It was so scary.
Died twice.
I
They
tried
both
to
walked
run
into that
and
room.
no.
Guys, I ran into a room and both the head and the alien.
I heard you run and I'm like,
Yeah, same.
it's cooked.
They both freaking ran in there. That's
no,
crazy.
no.
I need
That was
HP. I need
Truly
health.
horrible. I need help too.
13k. That's a lot of.
Okay, alright. Let's just buy a bunch of health packs.
Yeah, I'm stupid dead.
They're really expensive. Jeez.
They are.
Yeah.
The big ones
How did I
are.
miss that?
But we could get a big one and then like split it between us.
Share our
we could get a
HP.
big one and split it.
Why is one of them 12k, one of them 13k?
I don't know.
One of them is 3.
One of these
Wait,
fixed
what?
prices.
Oh, what the? That's a scam!
That's what I'm saying.
Oh
Is
my
there the
gosh,
secret?
Geez, in this economy?
Right? Look at these two. Huh?
To the mountain.
Large health pack. Large health pack. 100, 100. Why is one 12k?
Wait, hold on.
What in the
I'm gonna take
Walmart
this-
bullshit is this?
Oh, okay.
Not voices.
Hey,
Not
what was
voices.
It's a health upgrade. I thought it was the health pack, but I think it gives you extra health.
Wait,
I don't know.
Wait, okay. Wait, so, wait, can we? No, we
Yeah,
can't
ups
touch this.
your
No.
like your
We have
base health.
9k
No,
left.
nah, the math ain't mathin'.
9k left. You mean? There we go.
We're just getting health packs right now.
Alright, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, what's the point of having health pack if you just die instantly anyways? What's the freaking point?
For real.
Well, then the gnomes and shit can
True.
kill you easier.
Yeah,
That's
then
true.
the gnomes will one-shot you.
That is true. Let's go.
We did find out you
Let's
cannot
go.
in fact give away your last HP.
Wait, this is 3k. Can we buy this too? May
Oh,
as well.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, why not?
Ding.
As if our boss can't spring for some band-aids. God damn.
I know. What the frick, man? I've been Dubby this whole time. What is Dubby? Oh, are you okay?
Oh, let's go.
Ugh.
Oops.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh. Double-licious. Oh, no, it's because my my model changes depending on the lighting. So, yeah.
Oh, let's go.
So if we go dark
okay,
spot,
who's at 1 HP?
we go light spot.
Alright, whoever's at 1 HP
Me.
should get the large ones.
Like me.
That's literally everybody.
All of us have 1 HP.
26.
Except for I'm at 26 too.
I have 26. I'm gonna use a small one.
I have 1.
Yeah, give Bubs the big one. And then
We can
give
also
Jamie the big
redistribute
Yeah, and then
the
we can
others
and then
because
we can
Jamie also has
distribute.
one.
Yeah, redistribute.
We share.
Yeah.
Can we make it so we're all at 50?
Yeah, somebody line up.
There's one more pack here.
Wait,
Someone
I'm
needs it.
waiting for
Yeah.
people to turn around.
Everyone line up for HP.
Well, I have 26.
Who needs HP?
Everybody.
Line up for your back shots.
Turn around, bend over.
Give us group back shots.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody face against the wall. Prepare for the bubble back shots. Everybody open wide.
Wait. We talking about health back shots? Yeah, we talking HP back shots on a Friday?
Honey, what were you doing? How
Is
was the
everyone
club?
good?
Like,
Is
I'm
everyone
back
good?
Oh.
Yes. Everyone
Did
good?
everybody get enough or does
Yes.
somebody need more?
Does anyone need more?
I have 56. Does anybody have under 50?
I don't think so.
I think we're all
I
good.
think we're good. I think we're good.
I think
Okay, we're good.
Plentiful back shots.
Plentiful back shot.
It's crazy.
Oh, Lynn, do you want to give one to Dahlia? You have more than half.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Dahlia has
totally.
under half.
Dahlia.
Level 4. Oh, we're
Okay,
at the
Hogwarts
academy
again.
again.
Oh,
Ooh,
fuck
I like
this
this map.
place.
I like it,
Three
even though it
different
sucks.
now there's
Where-
3
where-
different
Dahlia, where are
ones
you?
we have.
3?
Oh, hey, we still have a grenade.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Oh,
bend
put
over.
down the
I don't know if I could do that again.
Cornbread, put down the
What? It's
Yeah. You know I'd
Alright.
do anything for you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Stairs. Ooh. Whoa.
Whoa,
There's
is this
so
a
many goodies in
garden?
here.
Wow,
Yeah.
Frenchie. Don't drop
I
it.
think
Just
this
don't
is the
drop it.
thing. Oh, it's really heavy though. Where's
Oh.
one?
Can someone help me
Wait,
with this
hold
one?
on, wait. We should catch this. We should get this. 37.2K.
Good job. Good team. Oh! Good teamwork. Oh my god, that was almost a beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh.
Good job. Teamwork.
We can just drag this directly to the extraction because we have like 3 of them.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Team
Since
list.
we just started, surely there's no monster.
Easy.
Ooh,
Okay.
I haven't
We're in
been
the
here
woods.
before.
Oh my god.
Oh, is this
What
a-
the hell is that?
Teamwork.
$37,000 item.
It's a
What the fuck that
Gryffindor.
is.
Where are you even taking it?
Back to the point.
Extraction
I
point.
mean, just take it straight there.
We don't have an extraction point yet, do we? Or was there one right
Yeah,
next
at
to
the front,
the...
at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Oh,
There's
okay.
always one right next to
I'm still trying to figure out how this game even works. Oh,
No!
Careful.
It's fine.
Oh.
what is that noise?
Real question.
Push! Push!
We might need,
Trying.
like, one more person.
Oh no, there we
How
go.
are
Oh no, we got it. We got it.
There's a man, 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 there's a man,
A man.
Oh, she just exploded!
What?
Someone just exploded right in front of us.
There's a man. There's a man with a hatchet.
You know, that's the most
A man?
terrifying thing of all. A
A man
man.
with a hatchet?
A man.
Oh. Okay.
Crouch and don't make noise.
Oh, okay, I'm dead. Wow. Hi, Lynn.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either.
I think he has a gun.
Sensitive to sound.
Okay, good. Keep talking.
I got a grenade.
Okay.
Oh my god. This game is wild. He's got a grenade.
No.
Why is she throwing it back in front of us?
Okay. Should we?
How did we die that quickly? I was just saying,
we can
like,
continue bringing these
we're at the
back.
start. Surely there's not gonna be a monster yet. Boom, we immediately
Yeah,
die.
yeah,
How is that even possible?
Right.
We just
Statue
started.
and the heads.
That's crazy.
Yale.
What got you guys? I think we got
Wait,
sniped.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we actually got freaking. I think we got sniped.
I think it's more than 2 people, no?
Yeah. I think we need 3.
We've been trying to get that up the stupid stairs, and then something just sniped us.
Yeah.
We might need an extra.
Okay. I get candy bar.
We just want that statue. It's so difficult. Oh, there they go. There they go.
Oh my god.
They got this.
And then you're just like, well.
They got this. Just get over the hump.
Get it over the hump.
There you go. Momentum.
It's the way that earlier they were like, BL comes running out. She's like, "There's a man! There is a man!" And I'm like, "Yes, that's the scariest of all, a man."
Very good.
Oh, he's just sitting there. Did he kill him? Did he kill him?
What are you looking at? Can I observe someone else?
Cornbread, cornbread. Yeah, you just click. Just click again. Huh? Cornbread got him. You just click.
Oh.
Like Valorant, you know?
Yeah, you get him.
How did I get him?
He threw a grenade at him.
Oh. Okay, we can never tell him that we saw that. We're all gonna pretend he's shit.
They're still trying to get the statue. Pivot now, pivot!
Shoot,
This thing is gonna be worth shit by the time it gets
I know.
Watch it not fit through the door.
No, they got this.
Gotta get this.
They know it has to go in the cart, right?
No, it doesn't. It just goes on the extraction.
Deeper.
Put
it in deeper, cornbread.
Okay, hold on.
Finished.
Oh my.
Oh.
Is that not enough? Oh my god.
Wait. Can we?
Does it not have to go
put
in
this
there?
in there too? But
oh yeah.
We need to like hold the statue up.
Oh, watch out!
Oh, shit. We need it like.
Hold on.
We got. Oh.
Wait.
Or wait.
Here, let me just put this vase in there.
Wait. We just.
Our heads. Our heads.
Didn't that statue start at 37,000?
Yeah. What's it at now? 17?
I want to put the bodies back.
10.
Okay, Dahlia's exploring. She's being brave. Let her go.
You don't need the cart? Oh, okay. That's when they need the cart. Okay.
No, I think you just need the stuff inside.
Did anyone clean my head?
I think so.
Yeah, it's in the cart.
Okay.
I think.
Is it?
Maybe
Okay.
not.
Oh my gosh.
Oh!
We have the base.
Wow.
That's so unfortunate. They broke it.
Like that.
Well, how did that thing even roll that way?
It rolled. Oh no. That's so
That was
unfortunate.
actually diabolical, the way that it rolled off the fuck ass statue.
Yeah, that's not.
that should be
yeah,
okay.
there's no physics in the game.
That's great. I mean, it is physics.
wait,
It
wait.
Why is it
rolled.
not counting that? It's not counting that vase.
I'm gonna just stay over here.
It is,
God,
isn't
here
it?
Comes... Oh.
Excuse me.
I didn't know anyone was alive besides us.
Oh,
Oh,
hi.
there we go.
Wow, Dahlia is just being ignored. Poor Dahlia. She's going off on an adventure again. Look at her go. I'm gonna watch her.
Real. How do you switch?
Just click.
I'm afraid to touch
Oh.
anything else.
Yeah, like Valorant. Yeah, you just click.
Oh, we barely.
They just need
Yeah,
like
let's see what
300 more.
Okay. And the other. Oh my god, there's 3 extraction points. Oh,
She got one.
2 is already a struggle.
Yeah, we already died.
Is just gonna go find stuff. Like.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
Oh, nice. Okay, that should be enough. Oh, there's a fat cube here.
A fat cube here.
I love fat cubes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I didn't hear cubes that time. I did not hear.
Yeah.
Oh, Dahlia move.
Yep, she got it.
Got it.
Hi, Lottie. Welcome in. Oh.
What the fuck?
Wait.
What
It
the
didn't
fuck?
take the statue?
Wait, what?
It didn't take the statue.
I look so edgy. It's just the lighting.
That was.
It didn't take the statue.
Something break.
Listen, I don't know what happened. I put
It broke the vase.
and then I don't know if something broke.
Oh.
The vase broke.
How?
Oh, yeah, the vase broke.
What the heck?
Remember
That's
I said that it
unfortunate.
wasn't measuring the phase? I don't think it was.
I didn't
Yeah, I
know.
think you're right. That's so unfortunate.
Wait a minute, where's the cart?
Honestly, I like being dead because then I just get to watch.
Oh, okay.
It's like watching a YouTube video. Now we're just commentating, Lynn.
Okay, that should be funny.
You know.
Player number 1 moving the cart. Player number 2 just died. I don't know what the frick that is. They got a tentacle on their face.
What just happened to me?
Violated. Oh, you have something on your face.
Oh, I don't like that.
Turn to look at me.
Nope.
Oh!
Back away from me.
What is happening?
He put himself in the timeout corner.
He put himself in the timeout corner.
Yeah, I like this.
Did you go to Taco Bell or something?
Oh my god.
Okay, we're good.
Oh my god, we get double clips because your bot and my bot both do.
That's so helpful.
That is. Thank you for the clips, guys. We always appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Best way to support a streamer without monetary funds. Clip.
So true. So true.
What's happening now? What's he hearing?
What the fuck is crawling? I just saw something.
Oh, what is that?
What the fuck is that?
The little crouch.
Oh, I don't like that I can see inside him.
I know, me too.
Oh.
You can also move the camera around, by the way. Move your mouse around, yeah. He's just with the little...
I'm just gonna close this door behind
Just gonna
me.
close this real quick. Just gonna close this real quick.
Yeah.
So what happened here? They're moving the statue.
Quietly go upstairs.
Okay. The statue has lost all of its value
I'm
at
just
this
gonna
point.
move the head. Yeah.
That's my head.
Margaret, did you see the crawling
yeah.
baby?
Oh my god, he scared the hell out of
The
me.
crawling baby? Oh,
What the frick was on his
hell no.
face that made him throw up like that?
Right?
Good.
Okay. And then we just
You know what's
Tetris
funny?
it. Yeah.
If
yeah.
it does spawn wherever,
Oh,
imagine
where's
it
the
spawning in here in the first post.
Oh my god.
What'd you say? I
Let
couldn't
me
hear you.
find something.
You know how you said that this monster can spawn anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine it spawns in here with the door closed.
I mean, we literally just started and you and I died. I was literally saying,
I know,
we just
right?
started. We have time to get this statue. Boom.
Oh, that's wrong. Incorrect.
Wait,
What the frick is that?
back up.
What is that?
What's he doing? Is he
Oh,
moving it?
it just like takes over your face? I don't.
I guess so.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh god.
Oh, what the frick is that next to her?
Back away from Jam. They're poisonous right now.
Oh.
Oh. Wait.
What is that thing?
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Stop that.
Stop that. Bleh. I'm so glad I'm already dead. Honestly,
Wait.
we died.
The face. Is this like
You
an
know,
alien?
short and sweet is the way to go. Honestly, I'm glad we died.
You're right.
This is so funny.
Oh, Jesus, no.
She barked on it.
Decrease the value. Oh my god.
Oh my.
Oh, I think I'm good now.
I can't breathe. Does that mean we're gonna be alive? Uh-oh.
Okay, you're back.
Yippee.
Oh, thank God.
Hi. We were just busy laughing. We were busy laughing at the shenanigans. Dost thou have a smidge of HP to give?
Give me 1 second. I don't have mod to chat right now.
Just a smidge.
Of course.
Thank you.
Hello, Raiders. Welcome in.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I'm not too
Are y'all good?
chatty.
They're
No,
back.
Lynn, you can do your whole spiel. Do your whole spiel, Lynn. We don't mind.
Let's go.
Do your whole
Now
spiel.
we just gotta find the second
We
one.
were spectating for the last little bit.
You mean the
Is that
next
taking up
two?
I was
Well,
dying. It was so funny.
Yeah, we have to get 2 more extraction points now. Okay.
There's the- we need to bring the cart. Do you want to bring the cart?
Lynn is the cart
I'm
lady.
dead. I am
There's a big cube right over here we can put in the cart.
Yeah, we saw Dahlia barf all over it. No, it was Jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw Jam barfing all over it.
I was barfing.
Yeah, we saw that.
I was having a
little sickness.
Hello, I hope your stream was
Hello.
There's
Nice and easy.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard something in that room. I heard something.
There's a big.
Let's go.
There's a big thing up there.
Look at.
Okay.
Oh, can one of you throw?
Lower gleaming glow. Did they already explore in here? Let your power shine. I'm gonna sing because I'm nervous, guys. I sing a lot when I'm nervous. Make the clock reverse. Bring back what once was mine. Ooh! Hello? There's something over here. A vase.
Oh, there's also a little crown.
Where? Wait, ooh. Oh.
Wait, do we still need it? Oh.
Could someone help me?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. No, I got it. I'm a star. Oh, thank you.
I don't know how to get you any further away from me.
Just
maybe like that. Okay, hold on.
scooch on over here.
Yeah.
Scooch on over here.
Oh, there's a fat staff up here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, that's what we're trying to get.
Why'd you have to say it like that? Where's the cart? What's over here? Okay. Oh god, I don't know what that was, but I'm not gonna look.
I almost made it.
Here, do you want to try to throw me?
Why are we gathering things though?
Can we? Will this even fit in the cart?
I don't.
Do we even need
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wait a minute, BL. Press a Q. You gotta get super small.
Thank you.
Does that work?
I'm still dead.
Here, wait. Oh, you almost got it. Wait, let me just slide this other thing around. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you for stopping me by. I appreciate it.
Can we? Maybe?
It just needs to stand straight up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go. Will that tip? I hope it doesn't.
I'm holding it. I'm holding it.
If I let go, it's gonna like a slingshot.
Okay, I'll just hold it with you. I'll just hold it while you push the cart. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh god.
Oh my god, the stairs are the worst. Okay.
Okay. Oh. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Disappeared.
Did she die?
How'd she die?
BL just disappeared.
She literally just disappeared.
She just blooped out of existence?
No, did she disconnect?
Oh. I don't know how to tell.
Little Wi-Fi issue?
We gotta find the other extract. We don't
Wait,
even
do
know
we
where
even
it is.
need to collect things? Oh, there's something behind you. Oh.
The fuck is that?
What was
that?
Oh my gosh. The staff is a weapon.
Oh,
We
someone
killed
died.
them. Oh Jesus, okay.
Are you guys okay?
Oh
yeah.
Someone died.
The staff is a weapon.
Wait,
I see.
Good to know.
But we did in fact lose cornbread, I believe, in the process.
do we need to collect things?
Oh, the vase. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, we don't. We just need to get
Oh.
the extraction points. We don't need to necessarily.
It's
Right?
Where's the point
That's what
then?
I
I got beamed by
we
the
gotta
staff.
find it. We gotta find it.
Well,
You
there's
got kicked out of the
question
game,
mark.
BL? What the fuck? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got beat by the staff. That's crazy. I ran away.
Oh, there's
Dahlia.
Oh.
Oh, don't touch me.
Dahlia.
Yeah.
Can you try inviting BL again? Is
Yeah.
that something that can happen? I don't know if you can do that mid-game or not.
I dropped my
I'm
crown.
gonna find out.
Oh, I dropped my crown. I just wanted to be a shiny princess. Oh, my crown. Just dropped my little crown.
I think, Mr. Bays, we have to leave you on the floor for now. Oh God.
R.I.P. base.
No, it's still okay. It's just upside down. Oh, here it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yippee! Yippee!
Okay, do we have all our friends' heads that are... We need to
Well,
bring
only
back?
one died because BL disappeared,
Okay.
so...
Oh, okay.
BL got
Then
kicked from the game, so we're trying to reconnect her, maybe.
Okay.
And then the vase. Ready?
Oh, I think that's enough.
Ooh. Oh.
I think we're good. What does that sound?
I don't know what that sound
don't
is,
like
but
it.
I don't like it either. Will we die in this room? Okay, ooh, careful.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's crazy. Oh, there's something over here. What is this?
Oh, is it? Oh.
That's heavy.
Oh my gosh. It's a Nimbus 2000.
Oh, let's go. Potter, you couldn't believe the kind of... Oh, Potter.
We got this.
Wait till my father hears about this.
All right. Okay.
Will that fit in?
Yeah, we just yeah.
Let's go.
Thread it in.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't know where everyone else disappeared to. They might have died.
Oh, somebody's head. No. The red
Oh.
dot means someone's carrying a head. Oh. No.
They might have died. Oopsie.
Oh.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we lost one.
Oh,
no.
The
they were just here with us.
that's
Oh,
We have
yep,
it.
yep, there we go.
R.I.P.
There's her head.
Oh.
We'll revive you next
Good night,
time. Hey, you
sweet
get to chill. It's actually kind of fun just watching. Whoa!
Crouch.
Oh, weird. What?
Oi!
Oh wait, is he still here?
Yeah, he's blind as fuck.
Oh, thanks.
Won't he hear you?
Oh, I see him.
Won't he hear you?
Yeah, that's right. You walk away, you blind fucker.
Damn.
He walked out.
Is that you guys? Okay, that's you guys. Oh my god. I was like, won't he hear you guys? You guys were still yapping. I can breathe.
No, we're good, we're
Oh,
good.
this is cool. Big tree.
Big tree.
Oh, this looks like a dead end.
Oh,
Big tree.
it is.
Dang.
I'm sorry. I get a little gassy when I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
Everyone quiet. Oh no!
So awkward.
I'm sorry. You might want to crouch. There you go. Are we good?
I don't know. I can't tell.
I got squenched. I got squeezed.
I think we're okay.
Okay. Oh, what are we? He died.
Well, I mean,
Back when I was okay. Sounds good. Yeah.
Who?
Jin.
He just appears out of nowhere, this fucker.
Right? Put a bell on him.
he's a ninja.
Oh. That's
Oh, I found the balcony. Wow, actually. Oh! Okay, pardon me. Oh! Okay, I gotta be careful. I'm clumsy. Sorry. I found a cup.
Oh, I really hate that.
What the fuck is that?
It's a clown. I hate them.
Shh, shh, shh. Broke my cup. Are you guys alive? Hello?
I'm upstairs.
Is it just you?
Huh?
Oh.
Downstairs. It's downstairs.
Oh yeah.
He has a gun.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun. Mistletoe, thank you for the follow. I'm about to die. Can he?
Cornbread says ram him with the cart.
I don't want to do that.
He's just a guy. Hit him with your cart.
I fell. Oh, you're still alive. Okay, bless. Oh, I thought you died. He broke my cup. I don't know how I didn't die.
Oh.
He went to shoot me and he shot.
Saved you.
He shot my cup.
The cup saved your life. Where do we go?
Oh, this place is amazing.
Over here? Hello?
That's where.
Down.
I was like, proximity chat doesn't do proximity parts of it.
Yeah,
oh, sorry. My bad. I'm a big booty in the way. Sorry.
I don't know. Cause we went over there.
Oh. No, that's it. No, that's outside.
Actually, wait. Maybe this way?
Third extraction point?
In the room I was in? Over here?
The frick are we supposed to find that? Stinky old man.
Maybe?
I don't think so. It's not in there, right?
What is that noise?
Oh.
Wait, we're back where we started, no?
Yeah.
Where is the other?
Hmm.
Oh, this is the worst. I have zero sense of direction. Oh, I'm so brave. I'm screaming a lot. Oh, the staff is here.
I can't.
There was a wiggly thing near me. Wait. No, this is a dead end.
Maybe there's like a downstairs or an upstairs.
There was something wiggly near me.
Here I'm asking. I have a map.
We do. I don't like it when they do this.
We're lost.
I'm cold.
Where do we go?
Oh,
oh no.
Run away! Run! Run!
Oh, wait.
Wait, what the frick? Where am I now? Class? What is that? What, it looked like a wrinkly old...
It came at you.
What? Am I...
Hello?
What?
Oh.
It was the weird little pukey monster thing.
No, it wasn't that. It was like a
Yeah.
wrinkly hand. What the frick was that?
A wrinkly hand?
I don't know.
It latches to your face and makes you...
Wait, how does BL do it? I'ma come for your chubby
don't
little cheeks.
understand
I'ma come for
where
your
the other-
squishy little
Yeah.
strawberry cheek. Oh, we're back here again. Okay, we've been making the
Wait,
same
is
circle.
this- Oh, wait, maybe we're supposed to go up here? Is this
I swear
upstairs?
I've been up here already. Do we have to find a
Oh,
key?
it's an extract. It's an extract. I found it.
Oh, I guess I haven't been up here.
Yippee!
Do we not need our cart?
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Yeah, where'd you guys go to do
up the stairs. Bring the cart. Bring the cart.
Up what stairs?
Oh, look out! Oh. Oh no.
Did she die?
Yeah. He's coming.
Oh no!
He found me! He was right on top of me!
Wide-eyed.
No, the way you look directly up at him.
I looked up his pants. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to get out of that.
The jam. We're gonna need you to grab that cart and bring it all the way upstairs on your own.
He was upset you were judging his fashion choice.
I know.
wait.
Mama bought these pants.
I thought our money was done. I thought we did it all. Why?
No.
Why
No,
do we
no,
do
no,
19?
no, we have one more.
Wait.
Oh, hell.
Yeah.
That part confused me.
That's,
like, I didn't know.
that's my head. Wait, can she revive me? Okay, no. My head's just there, okay.
Apparently you're of 0 value. That's crazy.
Oh, I always knew I was worthless. You didn't have to tell me.
Swear to God, if this old man is behind the corner.
BL, thank you. Oh, you're not here, but BL, thank you.
Me and BL and Cornbread were all lifting something, and then BL literally just disappeared.
She just dipped. She was like, peace out.
It
Oh,
was
see,
so
it's that thing! It's that thing behind her! Bow!
She can hear us.
So it wasn't a wrinkly hand. It was, in fact, an insect. Cool.
It's like a fucking...
What does it do?
worm.
Set your client
I don't
time
know.
down.
I just have always ran away from it.
That is weird. I have enough in me if we manage to survive this one for one more. But after that...
I would like to point out, this is the second time Jamie is
she's clutching up. Did the staff break? We used all the power in it. Oh.
What just happened to them?
I don't know!
What just happened to them?
Why are they moving around
did
so
they run
much?
into the ghost?
A ghost?
There's a ghost?
So there's a ghost that can like pick you up and just yeet you across the map.
Oh,
like they'll
that's
just drag you.
What?
Right? Why would that be a thing? Oh, he's coming up the stairs.
Go!
Oh, she needs to be quiet. Oh, God.
He's not gonna go up the stairs, is he? Oh, I can see inside your...
might.
I can see your eyeballs.
He
Hold on.
might.
I think your head is a little empty.
Oh.
She doesn't have enough. Fuck.
She's staring at the camera.
1,000, are you kidding?
Oh, God, she still needs money.
She still needs another, basically,
Not a little
9K.
bit, but just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
That's a
Well,
lot.
wait, no, there's still that staff.
Is it still worth something?
7,600, you crazy.
Yeah, after it murdered me? Yeah, surely.
Can we type to her? No, she won't be able to see it, will she?
Maybe?
The staff!
It'd have to be a...
No, I don't
It'd have
think
to
she
be a
can.
bunch of little things, wouldn't it? Yeah, there's no way one person carried big, heavy... shit.
Jamie is the
Not gonna
only one
drag it.
alive. Everyone say, Jamie, we love you. Everyone in chat, spam it. Say, Jamie, you got this. Jamie, we love you.
Jamie, we love you.
Jamie, we love you.
Is that what was happening before when we were carrying the potion stuff? That was... Oh my god.
Oh, it's about
Oh my god. Jamie!
Oh!
Man!
It was the scream at the end.
I was so ready to watch that wizard.
Oh, my lord.
See if I can bite Leo back.
That was so funny.
That was so good.
That was such a good try.
I know.
Okay, wait. I
What
should've
the
checked
hell?
Jamie.
Where are we right now? What's happening?
Oh god, it's the... Oh god, the king of the lizards.
Last person standing. Last person standing.
What? What is this? What?
Eh?
We have to kill each other. What? Why? We have to kill
What?
each other. What the fuck is this?
I hit you with a guitar!
Oh my god, this is a saw! Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
oh lord. Oh god. What the frick is this thing?
Eee.
Oh, that's just gone. Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
The way you're running! Oh! Oh! I fell. That's crazy.
Nice.
Oh, funny.
Oh no.
And Jamie won once again.
Yeah.
Jamie won once again. Jamie's too good at this.
Wow.
What happened? I didn't even kill you.
The map gets smaller, apparently. I fell. Wild. That's crazy.
So that's just to choose who of the losers. That's crazy. Okay.
Oh, you get the crown. You.
Yo, we got the crown.
Yeah.
Woo! I got the crown.
Yeah,
I'm the king of the losers.
Let's go.
Yippee!
King of the losers. Let's go.
Yay.
Yeah.
I do want to
Okay,
check in. We gotta get BL in. Does anybody want like a bathroom break or anything? It's been like 2 hours.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, I think I have enough in me for like one
sure?
more, but
Yeah, I have one more in me.
one more in me.
Yeah, one.
Sounds good.
Bill, are you sure?
Yeah.
Last one.
That's
Last
so weird
one.
that she just
Picked her
disappeared.
out.
It wasn't even lagging or anything. She vanished.
She got Thanos snapped.
We thought
Damn.
something terrible happened to her.
He'll be home in just a sec.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for playing with
Aw,
us, BL.
GGs.
GG.
Yeah, GG's.
Jeez. Thanks for
GG.
coming, BL. Is everyone else good if I start? Or-
Yeah.
Also, I'll
Yeah.
message you later
Yeah,
about
yeah, I'm good.
Tears of the Kingdom.
She quite literally got Thanos snapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're still in call, by the way, in case you didn't know. Hi, Bella.
Can be.
I mean, you can. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
We love you too.
Oh god, y'all are so
I
close.
actually get a little crown. That's so cute.
Yeah, look at it.
Cute.
Yippee! You gotta
Now
say
my first stop being,
yippee.
can we sell it?
What
Can
is
we?
it worth?
It's 600 if it's like
I'm
the
not
rest of
gonna
them.
lie to you. I hate this place.
What is this place?
Yeah,
Oh,
same.
oh, this place doesn't
Same.
look pleasant.
It is really dark here.
I've never been to this place. What is this place?
Ooh,
Looks
what's
like
Yeah, you know,
Time
there's
to
a
do
lot of
some
friendly
more
stuff here, though.
nervous singing.
Who
Are you?
doesn't hide anything
Oh my
in the
god,
safe?
this is creepy.
Is
Oh,
there more
can we pick this
powerful,
up?
like
Oh, no.
flashlights? 'Cause I feel like I'm looking through a straw.
I don't know.
No, this
I'm
is as good as it
not
gets.
sure.
A little bear, he's so juicy and so sweet, shining. Oh, Oh.
really hoping there'd be, like, brightness.
bumped into myself. Oh, I didn't. Oh, oh, where's the cart? Oh, can't fucking see. It's I can't fucking
Yeah, I
see.
can't fucking see shit in here.
It's so freaking dark.
Use
Fine, I'll just put it over here because I don't know where the card is. Boop. It's cold. It's so dark. It's so cold. Hello.
It's been 2 seconds.
Hello. What is that?
run.
Okay. Are we supposed to hide or?
No.
It's a swinging door.
Oh my god, there are so many of them.
Oh.
I'm dead. I'm so dead.
Oh no, I left them behind.
Oh, I'm alive. Oh, I live.
Get in here.
I'm alive, but I'm dead.
What the frick is that?
I'm alive.
What is that?
That's what fucked me up. Don't.
Why is
don't.
it cute?
Why is he
It's
following
very
you?
cute, but.
Stop. Why is it cute?
Quack. Yeah, I think one of y'all should pick it up.
If not friend,
Okay.
why friend shaped?
Oh, she died! You killed her! You killed her! How does it feel to be a murderer? How does it feel to be a murderer?
I take no responsibility for
He's
this.
going straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to
I
jail.
take no
Do
responsibility
not
for
pass
this.
go.
What is
Do
that
not
noise?
collect.
What is that noise?
I don't know. I don't want to know, you know?
Get quacked
no,
on
it's
is
very friendly.
crazy.
Quack.
Evil duck.
Okay. My voice is going away, guys. I'm screaming way too much. Oh. I'm scared. Why is it so scary in here? Who the frick lives in a place like this? I would actually, if it wasn't haunted, I would actually. Even if it was haunted, I'd live in a place like this, let's be honest.
in rotation. Nice and easy. Oh.
Guys, there was a big creepy thing with a snake head or something. I don't know. It was a big snowman looking thing.
Yeah. Let's try to avoid those.
Don't look at me.
There we go. What is that?
Do you need
What is
Oh,
that?
you got the card. Okay.
I don't know.
What does that sound?
Is that the TV?
Oh, maybe it is.
It is a TV. It's a TV. You get the blind hunter and the duck at the same time. Oh, because the duck will reveal where you are. Can we kill this guy?
You got something to say, you stupid ass duck? Yeah, I'll trap you in a corner. Yeah, so you can't move now.
Yeah.
Square up with the duck.
Hey, there's a giant chicken.
Yeah, you think
That's
this
what
is
I was
funny?
talking about. That's what I was talking about.
Hi.
Oh, why is there 3 of them? Oh, they killed each other. That's cool.
Are we
That's
supposed to
nice
not
of them.
talk? Are we supposed to talk? What are we supposed to do in this situation? Why is he stomping? What? Happy feet!
What?
He got happy
What are you
feet!
doing?
You don't
Okay.
have to be beautiful to be my
That was
man.
the best case scenario.
You don't have to be.
Yeah, they killed each other, which was really cool of them, and I really appreciate it.
I mean, he's still stomping away. No one got my reference, guys. It's so over for me.
No, we're good.
Oh, we had enough.
Are we? No, it's over for me personally because no one is laughing at my jokes.
Personally? Welcome back.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Lynn, did you enjoy the duck?
I did, actually. Where is it? I'm gonna do it again.
you enjoy it?
Not me.
Hi, cutie. Also, fuck you, to be honest. You're a little nibbler, you know that?
You little ankle biter.
Yeah. Little mouthy.
Lynn, don't turn
Did
around.
anyone get my reference? No one got it. It's so over for
I didn't
me.
hear you. I'm sorry. No.
I said he had happy feet and started singing the song, and no one knew.
Aw, guys, look, it is printed.
Yeah, you can keep it.
He's really cute when his face doesn't like split apart.
It thinks I'm its mom. Aw. Oh, where you going, little buddy?
I love the fact that Lynn likes a duck but can't do frogs.
I know. That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, I've never had a duck shoved down my shirt.
Oh.
My brothers used to do that to me all the time.
Yeah.
Oh.
With ducks.
No, with
Yeah,
frogs.
what? Hello?
With frogs.
Oh, well, yeah.
You got it, thank
That's
you.
not much better.
I don't
I'm
know.
not okay after that. Yeah, it's struggling.
I'm alright with it.
You want to buy
So,
anything?
anybody else suffering, or do you not want to buy a health pack? Because I'm 26.
I want to get an upgrade.
Now remember, guys,
Well, the
shop
unfortunate
around.
thing is
now
we
that
don't
we know
have
that
much
they do the same thing for less.
We
like, look,
do
they did
only
it again.
have
Look.
11k. Maybe we should get a weapon.
Look it, they did it again. A 2-pack for 6 or a 2-pack for 5. Like, what
Does
the
anyone
fuck?
need health?
what
Oh,
are these prices?
Lynn does. Okay.
Scammers.
Huh? Wait, what?
Lynn, you need health, right?
I do need health. Yes,
I think you're the
thought
only
you
one.
said
So we can
first,
buy
and I'm like,
2.
you know what? Both.
Yeah.
Both.
We can buy exactly 2.
Okay.
I mean, unless anyone wants to.
All right, screw it. We'll get the we'll get the pricier one.
Wow.
Exactly 11k. Okay, let's go. I love your little crown. You're just sitting there all innocently. Your little crown.
Just sitting here.
Just sit there.
Yeah.
Here's your little crown.
Yeah.
Hey,
You get her little.
mean.
Oh.
All right, we ready to go?
Yeah.
I've got nothing else to do, so. To the Ghostmobile.
I'm watching you.
Move that bus.
Did I do it?
I'm gonna start stimming soon. I'm doing them.
Did I do it? Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Whoopee.
Yippee!
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness we're done with that house.
Yeah. Oh my
I
gosh.
hate that place.
Fail carts
Right,
with
health
valuables.
packs.
Why is it telling me to do that now? Why didn't you tell me that before? What did you, I've already been playing this game.
I don't know. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's just it's in beta.
It's telling me the tutorial now. Oh, we could look at the window, guys. Ready? Country road,
look at the corn.
take me home
Corn.
to the
This has gotta be in Ohio.
place I
It's
belong.
got to be in Ohio.
West
It's either Ohio or
Virginia,
Indiana.
Mountain Mama, take me home.
I'm gonna be so
Country
thrilled.
road.
Genuinely, this is just the view outside my window. I really don't need another one.
Oh, that's crazy.
I wish I could live in a place like this.
I am so.
So-
out in
looks
the
so
woods.
peaceful.
It does.
I wish.
I hate it.
I just live in the desert.
Are we traveling or what? Oh, we have to click the thing again.
Yeah.
We're just enjoying the road trip.
We're just enjoying the road
You know.
We're just enjoying
Yeah.
the scenery.
Road trips are great.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh my gosh, this place
the
again.
academy.
I hate this place.
Are there only 3 maps? 4 maps? How many maps are there?
I have no idea, actually.
Is there a list of monsters? I'm just curious.
Oh, okay, what's that?
Yes, there is.
I just want to point out that this is an option apparently. We can just self-destruct.
Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly.
Oh, fuck.
What happened? Who broke it? Who did a boo boo?
Don't worry about it. Just mind your business.
There we go.
Run? Why does it say that? My voice is cracking. So what if I don't run? What if I run in this direction? Is that the Le Bombo? Oh! There's 2 big things here. Hey, I found a box!
I would assume
I
yes.
found a box. I
I'm
need
not
help.
sure.
I need help.
Oh, coming.
Also, it says run on the wall, but I'm gonna ignore it.
No. That was a typo.
Oh, okay. There's also a big thingy over here. I don't know what it is.
Ooh.
Ornament?
What to do? You're not my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the box.
Oh wait. Oh, this thing's. Oh, that's a fat cash out.
It's a big boy.
Oh,
It's a
boy.
big boy.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's probably a potion, but it also kind of looks like a Christmas ornament.
Hello.
Hi.
I thought you were a monster
Wait,
for a
wait,
second.
wait, where's
The way you looked at
Right
me,
here.
I knew that's what you thought.
I was waiting. I was like,
Sorry, did
what
you
is
not
that?
bring the cart this time? Sorry.
Oh. My goodness.
All right.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a fat. Oh, wait a minute. There's a cube over here too.
Yeah, I was
though.
gonna say, what about the cube?
Yeah. Let's take the cube.
Stop! That's so rude of you. Do not be playing sound alerts. That's gonna spook me.
There's
no.
a monster behind me.
Oh, there is.
I'm pretty sure.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Okay.
I thought it was one of us at first, but then I checked
I didn't
the
do
map
that.
and no one was ahead of me, so...
I saw that.
I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw what you did to that cube.
Okay, don't go in there.
Close the door. Close the door. Close the door.
Let's go.
Do we need the cube? I mean, how bad do we really need it?
Oh, we could leave it here. Maybe the X is closer to the other end.
No,
Okay, leave it. Hi.
Hi. They're freaking out, but I don't know why.
Because something was opening the door. I saw an arm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we came from.
Are you guys okay over there? Or?
This is a weapon.
Are you gonna? Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh! Ah!
Oh no!
We both got caught in it! We were the ones that were safe! What?
It's so funny that we were the ones like, hey, are you guys okay?
What the hell?
I don't know what just happened to me.
Is he going after that guy? He's trying to smack him.
Oh, the guy's
Oh, ew.
in our freaking. Oh no. Oh.
So I have a question.
no.
What was the thought process there?
No, okay, I swear we can kill those things with that.
Are you sure? Because he just ran. Because I think he got murdered.
No, I swear, I bumped into him. It did nothing.
So funny.
Ay, ay, ay. Now it's Lynn and Jammy. Jammy will clutch this.
I swear, I've seen people do it. I think I need a strength upgrade.
Probably. Oh.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Lynn. There she go. Where is she hiding? Oh, she's hiding behind the cart. Smart.
Yeah, I should have just walked away. It wasn't even looking at me. I was looking for the smoke. But no, when it does that beam, you can crouch under it though, usually.
Well, we didn't know it was happening. We were both standing in the corner like, why is everyone screaming? And then we died.
It was so funny. I was
crazy.
Like, oh, what's going on?
Why is everyone... Oh. We revive. Wait, what?
What? Who's barking?
Probably a dog. You might hear my dog in the background in a minute.
I'm also sick, so I have been coughing.
Oh my god.
Aw, I hope you get better soon.
Have
Probably a dog, yes. Probably a dog. You know, I hope it's a dog.
Yippee! I'm gonna type in. Oh.
Let's go.
What the fuck was that thing?
Does anyone have any health?
Something terrible.
So it's like a clown thing. It has a beam.
It shoots lasers.
Yeah, if it shoots the laser in front of you, you can crouch under it.
I'm so glad you knew the laser was coming, because I didn't. Thank you.
I didn't either.
Spare.
I didn't either. Might I have just a smidge?
Okay, thank you.
Wait, where's Dahlia?
She went ahead.
Oh, okay.
Locked in.
Okay,
Ready
next
to
time I see that
get
clown,
that
it's on
clown.
site.
Was it a clown? I don't even know what it was.
Yeah. It's like a clown thing.
I hate it. It's gross.
Oh
My dog is slurping in the background. You guys can't hear him, but he's slurping.
The cube in the cart now.
Not the sound of it. Ah! Sorry.
Excuse me.
Oh,
pardon me.
That's so rude of you. I'm the cloud. How dare you? Someone want to help me with this?
Well, he called me a dog, so.
Someone wanna...
What?
Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. I was like, who's asking for help?
May I some... Yes, please. I am in fact not strong and independent. Oh.
I'm gonna be honest.
Can we have one more person help? Can we have one more person? Hello?
We would like assistance
this way.
I require assistance.
Oh,
We require...
Even with my buff, we are weak.
We require assistance.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh god, I just wanted to move. That's fine.
Are we good? Oh, okay.
I think so.
Oh, nice.
Tetris.
Nice job, team.
We gotta find the next extraction point, right?
Yeah. Maybe this way?
I always forget we have a map. Yeah, we didn't go this way, because that's where the clown was.
Hello.
Hello.
I found the clapping monkey.
Yippee. We love those guys.
There's a bed. What the fuck was that?
The clapping monkey.
I think it's a monkey. Monkey.
Yippee.
What? Did you find it? Oh, yeah. Perhaps.
Am I losing it?
Logical?
Am I going insane?
Yeah.
Am I crashing out?
Probably.
Finding
there's
stuff?
a thing right here.
Rootin' tootin', ready for shooting. Oh.
Oh! Whoa!
What the fuck?
What just happened? Someone died. Oh, Jamie died. What just happened?
No, what happened?
I don't like that just opened.
How did we get... What just happened?
I don't know. Oh no, someone died here.
I didn't open that door, guys. I didn't open that
God,
door.
it's in here. The door's in here.
The what? The extraction point? Whoa! It's that! Oh, I see! Naruhodo!
I'm not touching
Do
anything.
we know where the extraction point is? What's in here?
Yeah,
Oh,
right
okay. Let's bring our stuff. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Turns out that thing explodes. Who would have thought? And that's how Jammy died. 07 Jammy. The glowing thing.
Oh.
Cup. I found lick up.
Noise.
Oh, my cup. Touch my cup.
Now let's get the heck out of here.
Okay, so.
So, turns out that explodes,
Did you blow
huh?
up again? Just answer me that question. Did you blow up again?
I will.
It's a yes or no question.
Fine.
It's a yes or no question.
I plead the
Are you
fifth.
okay, Jammy? You exploded.
I don't even know what happened to me.
It was
It happened
one
so
of the
fast.
items. One of the items we had.
Run!
Oh.
Run! I don't know where to go, but
Shh! Come here.
Nino, welcome back, Nino. No, stay away. There's nothing under this bed. No, stay back. There's something. Goddamn. I didn't need no Nino. I wasn't talking about you.
I feel like we're listening to a cinematic movie.
I'm sorry.
Scatter.
The begging is crazy. He's pleading for his life. I'm gonna cry.
On his hands and knees.
We good? Okay.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yo, these dudes were right up in my face.
We heard you begging.
I mean, you were offering a lot.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's called
Guys,
negotiation.
yeah, going straight.
We all heard it. I don't know, man.
Grippers? Yeah, they had those grippers up in my
Grippers
face.
is crazy. Okay,
What's that noise?
this way.
It's probably that cloud motherfucker.
Oh, cool.
Grippers
cool.
emote? Oh my god.
Cool. So cool.
What would that even look like?
Right.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, there's something there. Oh my god, it's right there.
Oh shit, this is where we started.
Is this not where we're supposed to be? Oh,
Yeah,
hi,
we're
Jim.
done. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
Did anybody die?
No, we're good.
I don't know.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Who were
Someone
missing?
died.
Did
He
Cornbread
died.
die?
That's crazy. How did he
blow up after all
die?
that begging?
All that begging for
Cornbread
what? And for what? Oh.
For the what?
Oh, the slacker. Cornbread's still out there. Oh, hide.
Yo, we're gonna leave me? Yo, we're gonna leave me?
We thought you were dead. We thought you were dead.
Let me explain.
Who did it? Who's responsible?
Dahlia.
Dahlia.
Me. I'll admit
Dahlia?
it. I thought you died. First of all, I thought you died. Second
Okay,
of all,
you
I
have
thought
no faith in me.
yeah, you're right, because I heard you screaming on your way.
Crazy.
I'm crying. You all were gonna leave me.
Listen, I thought you died, and then the clown came over here, and it was about to.
No.
Let's go shopping. Everything's fine.
Yo, that was top 10 anime betrayal moments right there.
Top 10?
Oh my god.
Really sent
How
him
many
on
times have you
shopping.
been betrayed?
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Okay, who
Okay,
needs
what the
help?
fuck? We've got a triple pack for 9K, or we've got a triple pack for 13K. What the fuck?
Oh, brother.
Yo, what is this inflation?
just gonna grab the one that's.
We're not even. We're barely making anything.
Yeah, I know. Dude. What is this?
There you go. That's mostly for cornbread. Let's be honest.
Hello?
What?
I want a stamina
I'll have you
upgrade.
know I
Trying to
survived.
help you.
Boop.
I'll have actually. I'll have you know.
Cute. Wait.
Do we want to get this?
Oh
What
no,
is
I
this?
just think it's cute.
What is it? A
It's
pocket cart?
It's a little cart.
That's
it's a little
cute.
baby cart.
For all the little
I
things?
can,
No,
hear me out.
Put it in your pocket.
I was gonna say you could put all your explodey shit in here, keep it out of the regular cart.
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, that's true.
I mean, when it blows up, that would.
Look at- We're all staring at him.
Oh Jesus! I've been
Spin it, rotate it, rotate it.
Spin him,
I'm
spin
innocent.
him, spin him.
Spin him, spin him.
Oh God!
Oh
no!
what's
Who
that?
did that?
Oh!
It was worth it. I took some damage, but it was worth it.
Oh.
Did you throw him up? It wasn't me.
That was 7 corn.
It wasn't me either.
It was not me.
What? How did he explode? How did...
Wait, how do we get? Do we just take him back with us?
I don't know.
Did we take him back with us?
I don't know where to put his head. I don't know.
Does he get revived?
I would assume. I hope so.
Oh yeah, there he goes.
Y'all are crazy! I cannot believe this! I cannot believe!
I feel like this is only this makes sense because he's the only guy. We gotta bully him.
No, this is bullying.
I would like to point out, though, all jokes aside, we absolutely just destroyed our budget, and we all have no health. Well, I don't have any health now.
All right,
No,
let's
no,
go.
It's okay. We're fine. We're fine.
We're fine. We're
It
fine.
was so
We're
good.
gamers. We're gamers. We got this.
Big gamers, yes.
All right, let me look at your back. Let me see this.
Let
Show
me
the
look
neck.
at your back. You saw
Wait,
me at the
wait,
back shop again? I'm
Let me
assuming the
see it
position.
from the. Let me see it from the back.
I'm assuming the position.
Assuming the position.
Crazy.
Oh, we did get health. Okay, who?
Oh, nice.
All right. Who has?
Lynn's got good health.
I'm good.
Why'd you stop talking?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Wants a nice, crisp
Is anyone at
back
1
rub.
HP?
No.
I'm
I
at
think you should
36.
Take it and maybe distribute. I don't know.
All right.
I'm at 36.
Oh,
everyone
thank
line
you.
up.
Yeah. Well, you were like backing up on me. I assumed that's what was happening.
Back it up on me. She giving you a lap dance. Hey yo.
A little bit. I was like, oh.
Okay. I think we're good.
I mean, we're some.
Yeah.
We're a group. That's for sure.
We are a group. That is for sure.
Yo, who decided to hire us for this?
I don't know.
Me.
Oh, we've never been here before, have we? Mechanics
You
station?
guys are getting paid?
Wait, have we?
Wait, have we not been here?
I don't know. Oh no, we have. Never mind.
Oh, actually, wait.
Have
hold on.
we?
Are you sure?
I don't remember this
yeah,
Oh,
snow.
I think the
this
first.
is like
It was the first one.
Yeah,
we
this
did.
is the first place.
Oh,
We
okay.
can lift this up.
Oh, less interesting.
This is 7,000.
I think we've seen all
You wanna
like the
just
lower
walk it
level
over there?
maps.
Yeah.
So we can get more in the...
Yeah.
Oh my god, I thought that mug was gonna shatter.
Shiny. Ooh, shiny.
What am I stuck on? Jesus Christ.
What is that? What?
Hello.
I wanna be shiny. Oh.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, you scared me.
Sorry. Yeah, my cough it sounds
Why
like
is it
sneezes,
red
and
in
apparently
here?
I sound like monster.
Oh. Parkour.
Cornbread said I sounded like a dog coughing.
Oh, that's
Parkour.
that's
Wait.
offensive.
Parkour. Oh. Parkour. Ugh. Oof. Guys, if I say parkour enough times, I'll win, right? How do I grab this?
Yeah, surely.
How do I? It glowed for a second. How do I grab this? Eat. Nope. Hold on. Hold on. This is the journey. I'm really bad at parkouring. Okay, ready? Okay, nope, I can't do it.
Is this liftable?
It's right there!
Wait.
Got it.
Oh, you got it.
It's only 600, but I got it.
You got it.
Why'd you say, oh my god? What happened?
One
Pardon
second.
me. Sorry. Ugh.
Oh, sorry. My bad. My bad.
I'm real. I thought it was cornbread again. I'm sorry.
I didn't know you were there.
I was you like, how again?
I didn't mean to hit you. My bad. I didn't know you could do that. What's that noise?
I don't know.
Someone was screaming. That goes to show how much I was trying to hit people because I didn't even know you could do that. Oh my god. I'm seeing things. The corner of my eye all the time. Oh, hello.
Hello. Hi. There's a room in here. I would not recommend going in. The door's closed. But there's this big computer.
We need the money.
I know, but don't go in that door that's closed over there. There's a monster that threw me out.
Oh, he said, get out of here.
He said, girl, get out of here.
Mom, it's not a face. Okay.
Oh, I don't like hearing the screaming.
Did they die over there? What just happened? Oh god, this is... Oh.
This is...
Awkward. Hold on.
Really,
I scooch it on over a little bit this way. Yeah. And then forward a little. Yeah. Yeah. Scooch it all... Oh. Yeah.
Where? Oh, we need to go this way. I see.
Ugh.
Hold it. There we go. I just gotta get closer. Oh,
I heard a noise over there. I'm gonna close this door just because I heard a noise. Gonna close that.
Yep.
It's not really closed.
Can we get some help?
Okay. Push this way. Push that. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, I got this. Don't worry, I got this. Don't worry, guys. Oh, God.
What exploded?
I don't know. I don't want to find out. Yeah, the proximity is weird in here.
Oh, yo, this thing's fast.
Hello?
It's so much easier with 3 people.
Hello?
What are you guys carrying?
A computer.
Guys?
A computer.
Thanks for the follow, Dr. D Cheat.
Yeah.
A PSA.
If you have these 3 skulls with
that's
legs coming at you
Oh, yes.
with bombs on their heads,
Welcome in.
don't let them touch you.
Yeah, that would make sense. I would assume that much. Yes.
Yeah. I tried. They cornered me.
Wait, back it up, back it up.
That's why I'm now at 26.
Oh god, I'm in the corner. Oh.
Back it up, back it up.
It was not
Take it back now, y'all.
Wait a minute, this is a dead end.
Oh.
I don't want to be with.
Oh shit, they got ping pong!
This thing is not worth much anymore.
I know. It's still 7,000, but
No, 7K is a lot.
We started out at 10K. Whoa, you might want to run. What is that?
I've fallen.
That thing sparked.
What?
Can we move?
Oh, this thing?
No,
this
you
is
like
harmless.
explosives too
Cornbread.
much. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we go.
What are you yelling at me for? It's just an explosive.
Well, you like explosives way too much.
Oh, shit.
See?
No, we're fine. We're fine.
That was not a normal fine. That was a we're not fine.
No, it's fine. Can someone help me?
I don't know where we're going.
Can someone help me?
I don't know where we're going. This way?
I'm bringing it to the extraction.
You're trying to pivot around the corner. I'm not even thinking it.
Oh, hello. My bad. Hello.
Hello? Oh my gosh.
Hello?
Oh.
Is this worth anything?
Having a good time, having a good time. Oh, you're almost there.
Oh, that's very heavy. I'm not going to bother.
How much is this?
I'm afraid.
It started at 25K.
Oh my god!
Break!
Yeah.
And now we get 2 gumballs.
Alright.
Yippee.
Is anyone dead? No, we're
Lynn,
good, right?
whatever you're seeing, nothing happened, okay?
Okay. We have enough.
Nothing happened.
Oh, thank
But
swear to God.
there's a really big thing. I don't know if we can get it, honestly. There's like a really
Where is
big
it?
object.
Why is there a child?
You saw everything? Nuh-uh.
Why is there a child?
Look at the thing. Don't.
A child. A child. A child. I did say that many times. I did say that a lot of times.
I'm not looking.
Hi. I look at you.
Looking.
No one heard me. I kept saying there's a child.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
I said a child.
Was anyone else?
There's a child, guys. No one was listening. No one listens to me.
No one listened.
No one listens.
Roll call?
Hello.
They're here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
It's called having survival instincts. You wouldn't understand.
It's fight or flight.
Mother and I are
We got
on the same wavelength.
Don't worry, we got this.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, wait. Oh, we have like 2. Oh, wait, I'm gonna grab this flamethrower.
It's
Yeah,
very
of
heavy.
course you are.
It is
Of
very
course.
heavy, though.
Wait, what is that supposed to mean? Yo, what is this reputation I have?
I mean, we just met, and even I can tell.
This thing. It's huge.
Oh God.
Yeah.
How do you find it?
Wow.
19,000?
Oh Lord.
Oh, that's a fat one.
Oh, that is very heavy.
Wait, nice.
Firmly grasp it.
Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it.
Oh,
what is that noise?
Oh.
Is this?
Oh, it's the things that explode. They're gonna explode. They're gonna explode. Oh my God.
Pick them up and
break
slam
them?
them.
Oh, you can. Oh.
Oh, the nose.
Oh God, you're so brave for that. Oh.
Oh.
Rest in peace.
I'm
wait.
good. I'm
Oh
good.
my
I'm
gosh.
good. I'm good.
Rest in
I
peace.
thought you were dead.
I love how y'all were just staring at me.
I was like, damn, that's crazy.
R.I.P. Rest in peace, 07.
I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do? You like?
Oh. Scissor lady.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's a lady that has scissors and chops you up.
I mean, I figured that much. Are we supposed to hide, or like, what do we do?
I don't really know how to fight her.
Oh, cool. So cool.
She's gone.
Okay, cool. I didn't know you could like slide underneath. Damn. You smooth criminal. Dun, da, 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 da.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the hydrate. Everyone stay hydrated.
Damn, I'm gonna hydrate too.
Everyone
I
stay
sound like
hydrated
a dog.
during these trying times.
Arf, arf.
I closed the door.
Good job.
I closed the door.
I can slide. Did you know that? I can slide. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
I learned a new trick.
Yep, we're just gonna close these doors. Close the door, you idiot! Okay.
I fear that we need to go that way.
We do.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Let's go through this door here.
This one?
The one I just
Wait,
opened.
do we have a thing? Oh, wait. We have a. Wait. We can fight her. Let's fight.
Oh, I'm not gonna fight. I'm here. I'm safe under the table. Yes.
Oh, you're pointing it right at yourself. Okay, ready?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Okay.
Charge!
Oh, there she is. Okay. Hit it. It didn't work. It didn't work.
Absolutely not.
Who's that over there peeking out at me all the time? Survival instincts.
This is so bad.
Wait, she's still here. Shh, go back. Go hide. Well, I fear it's over for me. Did everyone die? Did everyone die? Did Jamie die too? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no! Oh no! What the frick are you? Ugh. Does that not kill it? Aren't you supposed to throw it? Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Nope. Stop. Nope. I'm still alive, okay? Cool. Tell my story. I don't know what to do. Where's the freaking exit? Bubblegum. No, truly not. Is this the button? Should I click it? Am I supposed to click this? Guys, I've been carried this whole time. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let me go back for my cart. I found it. Press the button? Okay, press the button. Understood, understood. Oh, I see. Naruhodo. I have to click it first. Okay. Press the red button. But I'm usually not supposed to press the red button. Where did I leave the cart? I left in a panic. I don't like that you guys have done this to me. Truly. Truly, I'm the biggest coward of us all. Okay, hold on. Chotto a minute. Okay, I gotta go around. Wait, but they don't revive. I still have to find stuff, don't I? Oh. Oh, I gotta go awkwardly. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I gotta find 18k worth of things. That's crazy! I hear a child. I hear a child. Oh. I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Is there anything in here? Oh, it's the gooey bathroom again. Is that bad? Someone had like mad shit over here. Last time I looked through one of these carts, I died. There was like a face staring at me and it was not pleasant. Oh, it's this thing. How much is this? Okay, never mind. Wyatt, do the giggle. This is so amazing, guys. This is so great. This is lovely. I keep pushing down my shift button as if that's gonna help. Wait, can you open this? Oh, you can. Oh, forgot you could open. Can you open this? Papa is my son, Raku. I want to move this, but it keeps. she die? Did she die? Guys, I have to find 18k worth of things. I don't know if I can do this, man. I don't know if I can do this. What's oh, there's freaking skulls. I got this. No! I don't, actually! Don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay, 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 okay. No, 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 no. I'm still alive, guys. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was there even anything worth that much to bring back? Oh, I found it. I found Jammy's head. Oh no. What's that noise? Should I be concerned? What's that noise? How much is her head worth? Please save me, Jammy. Okay. 'Twas not worth very much, if anything at all. Oh! Okay. I'm finding things little by little. We're singing to you. Thanks. I have to sing when I'm nervous. Is it only the scissor lady? Can you hear my dog? He's doing things. Little bit of chicken fried. What was that noise? Oh, how do I get out of here? Oh. Oh. Cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that sit just right. And the radio's on. Okay, hold on. Is there anything else on these? Please, please let there can everything just be on these shelves? That would be so nice of you, actually. Oh no, it's the same thing. Nothing here. Nothing here. Link, I need you to stop slurping in the back. It's freaking me out. Ooh! What the fuck was that? 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 It just looked at me. It just looked at me. It just looked at me. Oh. Oh my god. Are you still there? Oh. Oh my god. Everyone's... Oh, it's this thing! This would have saved all my problems. No, it wouldn't have, actually. It's not. It's not worth enough. Thank you for the follow, but not really, because I know you guys are laughing at me. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. I can't drag that thing. It's way too heavy. Like, what the actual frick am I supposed to do here? There's nothing left. Unless there is. Ugh. Okay, no, that's way too heavy. I also feel like I'm making many circles. Maybe I don't look at that. Is she gone? I've got to bring one thing back at a time, too. Which, it sucks even more. What was that? Okay. Oh my god. It was an actual person in my room. That's what it was. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but... Oh, she's still there. Oh, she's still there. She's just standing there. Look at the freaking toothpick legs. Slenderman looking at freaking... Can you go away? Oh, thanks, actually. Can I just click the button and revive them? That would be so nice, actually. That'd be so nice. I'm not finding anything! This freaking Slenderman freaking looking... skinny motherfucker. Sorry, pardon my French, but I'm not having a good time, guys. Where am I supposed to find anything to revive them? What am I supposed to do? You're so funny. I'm trying! Can I leave? This isn't even the... May I leave? May I leave? Will we die if I leave? What do I do here? I can't make 18K. I can? Oh my god, bless. Somehow I made my way back. Okay. Okay. Do I have to do this again? It won't let me. You can self-destruct. How do I do that? It won't let me. We gotta be brave, fellow berries. We gotta be brave. We gotta someone tell me, can I genuinely beat this game and I'm just dumb? Or is it like over? Because I think even dragging that big thing, it's not possible. We can run out of items. Because I can't find anything other than that big thing, and even with that, it's not enough. Fuck off. Oh, you want to fight? Fuck off. Oh, you're a little close. Oh! Did they kill her? Did she die? Yellow dots indicating them? Wait, you're a lifesaver. Wait. Oh, no. It's just those two items that I cannot grab. They too heavy. That's what happens in later stage. Too much loot gets destroyed. We did, in fact, destroy a lot. I think it's GG, guys. Screw this. I leave on my own terms. Wait. Okay. Wait, go on my own terms. Oh, wait, huh? Is that not gonna explode? Okay, maybe it's not. We definitely don't have enough. Explode! You're supposed to You're supposed to explode! Press the red button. Well, that was a little anticlimactic, but alright. I thought I was going to explode. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna explode, but it didn't. I tried. I did my best. If I click... Can I even click a button here? Will it let me? No, I won't. How the frick do I self-destruct then? We gotta run in the frickin' lady's arms. Take me! I'm yours! Take me! I'm yours! Where are you? Where's the child? Come here. Come here, take me! If you hit the escape button, you can self-destruct. Ah.
Bye.
Oh. What was the O at the end? Oh.
That was amazing. Bubba,
That was so fun. That was so.
I was a little too good at staying alive.
Bubba, that was a valiant effort.
I couldn't find anything!
Oh, no.
I think I legitimately could have done it. Are you okay?
I think it came for me!
Oh jeez.
Wait, what is that? Why would that be a weapon?
Oh wait.
It's up.
Oh, explosion?
No, what is that?
I don't know! Oh! What the frick is this?
No, no!
Flying fan. Oh.
Oh.
Camera actually on, huh? Hi, Zaria. That was crazy.
Shocker, what? Nobody's surprised.
That's crazy.
No! What does it do with this? Like, what the fuck? Look at this. Real question.
Welcome in, Zaria.
Oh, the statue? Yeah.
I have nothing.
Oh.
Oh god.
Oh, it might be a
Oh my
draw.
god.
Can it actually be a draw?
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
Use my head! Use my head! You can smack with my head! I've got a hard noggin! I'm pretty dense! Actually, use my head! That's how I killed you. That's how I killed you, cornbread.
Oh my god.
Oh!
Oh, Lynn wins!
Let's go.
So funny.
Let's go. Oh wait, well, oh wait, Lynn's gotta grab the crown.
Grab the crown, Lynn. Grab the.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you didn't get it. That would've been crazy.
Incredible.
Not the rubber mallet. That was crazy.
Yes.
I know you wanna go to walk soon.
All hail the king.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for the games, guys.
Thank you so much.
GG.
Yeah, those are bangers.
GG, guys.
GG's.
What a crazy.
guys.
I'm gonna leave the call too, by the way. Bye bye.
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 Oh my god. Oh my. Oh my. Good lord. Oh my. Good heavens. That was kind of crazy. That was kind of wild. For those of my berries that are still here, thank you for sticking around. I hope you guys had fun. I'm gonna end here. I'm just freaking tired. That was stressful, guys. That was stressful. But thank you, Dahlia, for helping me out. Do we want to mass raid someone? I'm gonna go eat. I mean, who do we even raid? We were on the same wavelength. We truly were. I mean, I did survive, sorta. I'm gonna end here. I'm gonna end here. TY, y'all. Yes. But thank you everyone who has joined me. I will be back next week. I'm going to end now because I'm really freaking hungry and I have to go to the bathroom. So thank you everyone who has joined me, and until then, I'll see you all later. Bye bye.